Welcome to RNS Podcast, Real Nerd Stuff. My name is Dylan.
I'm Evan.
It's my sweet co-host, Evan.
Thank you.
So I'd like to remind you at the beginning of the video, please support the channel by subscribing or liking or commenting. Is that correct, Evan?
Yes, do it.
Do it.
No, please. Just do it. Like, come on. A like, that's like, all you gotta do is click a little button. Just do it.
Yeah, all you literally have to do is look and point and click in 1
pretty
second.
much.
And it will change our lives forever.
Do it.
And it'll change your life, too, because you'll get more great RNS podcast content.
Yeah, for real. What's it hurt to just give us a subscribe? We have 53 subscribers now, look.
53 subs?
I know that ain't shit to most of you, but for me, it means a lot. I appreciate all of you, for real. Because we were at 30 subs for, 3 months.
Yeah, we were.
And, in the last month, we got, 23 subs.
Yeah, we shot up quite a bit.
Where it came from, but...
And shout out to the audition episode.
Yeah, for real.
It's been climbing up there. We've been making some progress. We've still been trucking.
Yeah. I mean, it feels good. Even if it's the tiniest little bit, just to see a little bit, bro.
Yeah, and literally every time, even if it's just one sub, we're like, yo!
Yeah, so, for real, yeah.
It's really nice. It's a nice feeling. Evan, do you
want to... Especially assuming, it must not be people we know.
Some of them, yeah.
The recent ones, because I haven't been sending it out to, Because, all the people who I'm they would subscribe, people I'm, close with, they've already,
Yeah, they've already subscribed pretty much
know what I
and
mean?
shit like that, so... Yeah, if you're new here, we welcome and appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Evan, we were going to talk about freaking Uncharted before we get into Ichi the Killer.
Yeah, our main topic for today, Ichi the Killer.
We did see Uncharted. Evan, do you want to briefly talk about Uncharted?
Let's do it.
It was really bad.
It was shit. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead. I'll give our classic rating. Let's give a classic rating real quick. I'm going to give it 1 star out of 3 stars.
I give it a 4 out of 10.
So yours is slightly better?
I don't know. That's probably
Yeah, because it's like 3...
I can't do the 1 out of 3 system.
No, because it's the same. Because it's
I didn't like it.
4 out of 10 and 3 out of 9. Which is 1 out of 3. Anyways. It was shit.
Yeah.
And I don't recommend you go see it. I don't recommend you go see it if you're a Tom Holland fan. I don't recommend you go see it if you're a Sony fan.
If you're a Marky Mark fan.
I don't recommend it if you're a Marky Mark fan. I don't recommend it if you're an Uncharted fan. I just don't recommend it.
So, I remember towards the end of the movie, I was like, Dylan, so Uncharted's, primarily a shooter. And in the whole movie, Tom Holland holds a gun for, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
He doesn't even shoot it.
He does shoot the gun, but it misses.
Does he?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
In, the final, whatever you want to call that, battle, whatever you want to call it.
But it's
the
not...
final action sequence.
Yeah.
He shoots a gun, and then he holds one during that post-credit scene.
So bad.
Yeah. The writing was terrible. That's one of the worst written movies I've, seen in a minute.
Yeah, not even, the dialogue and the structure.
Yeah.
Both.
It was just terrible.
The dialogue was a little better than the structure. The structure was terrible. There was, no cause and effect.
There was not, no.
It was terrible.
Anytime he decided to do something, all he did was just look at his brother and poke cards. He's like, you know what? I'll do this.
Yeah.
It's what? It didn't feel earned or anything like that. And he's just you know what? Solely, I looked at my brother and poke cards, so you know what? I'll go ahead and keep doing
what I'm doing this for my brother, not for you.
Yeah.
Because there was a part where there's always in buddy movies or whatever where there's some type of team up or something. There's always a at the midpoint or some shit like that.
Conflict.
There's a conflict between the two characters, and there was that similar conflict between Tom Holland and Marky Mark.
Yeah.
And
don't call them Sully and Drake.
No,
they're discouraged.
Yeah, that's not their names. But I looked over to Evan and I was like, how do you think he's going to get back on board with Sully? What's going to happen? And then he just looked at the postcards and was like, I'm doing this for my brother.
It was 5 minutes later.
That's
it's
so
it
lazy.
didn't even last at all. Yeah.
And because he was so mad at Sully and he barely even had any type of change of his mind or anything. I don't know. It sucks.
Yeah, it was really stupid. And even the way he picks up Tom Holland, I mean, a bit later you find out, he knew that he was Sam's brother, so there was a bit more context to it. But just it seems so unbelievable. He's like, yeah, I saw you steal that bracelet. Oh, you're pretty good, kid. You want to go do this fucking $1 billion heist with me after you steal that bracelet? I mean, like I said, you do find out a bit later there was more to it, but it's just like it felt so unbelievable the way they met each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That definitely feels like a...
It was better in the trailer, because remember in the trailer, he's like, aren't you a bit young to be bartending? He's like, aren't you a bit old for blah, blah, blah. That wasn't in the movie. But it seemed like, you know what I mean? It's like,
that was better banter than
yeah,
was in
you
the
know
movie.
what I mean?
Yeah.
In this, they're just like, oh, like, he knew him for, like, less than a minute. He's like, you want to come do this fucking crazy heist with me? It's like they barely know each other. It just, like, was so unbelievable.
He, like, gives him his address.
Yeah,
He's like, come to my apartment.
That makes no sense. Like, what if it was the wrong guy?
Yeah. I don't know. Just, and not even just shit like that, but the whole movie, like, the characterization of everyone.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the Chloe the character, but
she was okay, I
just
guess.
like her. I don't know. And she was a little sweetie cutie pie. But, yeah, the movie sucked.
I mean, she was probably better than Marky Mark or Tom Holland.
The only good beat they had, I liked when Tom Holland kind of decided to fuck her over.
Yeah, that was cool, that scene.
That was pretty good.
When he's like, oh, I actually had this shit in the bottle, yeah.
And because it was cool, too, because...
It's the only time he felt like Nathan Drake.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
Yeah, we talked about
and
that.
he also, like... It was the fact that he was like, I'm not like Sully. Like, he's not going to fuck you over, like, while you're on the mission or, like, whatever. But he knows if you...
Not to trust you.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know what? Here's the opportunity.
Yeah.
So if you take it, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But you don't... If she didn't do that, he probably would have just let her, like, fuck with him and just, like, do the treasure thing with him. So it was cool because it showed, like, oh, he's clever and he'll fuck you over, but not in a super malicious way.
Yeah.
So that was kind of good, but...
Yeah, that was one of the better parts, I would say.
But most of the... Like, that was kind of clever, but, like, most of the puzzles were fucking boring and stupid.
Yeah.
They turned an ancient key in the fucking Pizza Hut. Like...
It's Papa John's.
Papa
bro.
John's.
Right.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
It's so stupid that like they were in Spain and they were in a Papa John's. I don't know. That's just so stupid to me. I mean, I'm not saying Spain doesn't have Papa John's. They probably do. But you know what I mean?
But just for the aesthetic,
like, yeah.
If you're in Spain, like, show us some Spain shit.
Yeah, not fucking
Papa John's.
But you know what? Whatever. Papa John's paid them like fucking $2 million or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
To have that, so yeah.
So yeah, fuck Uncharted.
Gotta pay the bill somehow.
Fuck Uncharted. I think that's about all I gotta say.
Yeah, it was definitely not great. I'm so sick of Tom Holland, honestly.
Yeah, like Tom Holland's not a great little guy.
He's not. He really isn't. And then...
I don't think he's that bad, though.
Take it back. Take it back right now.
He's not too bad.
I'm joking.
He's not too bad.
Yeah, it was not great. Oh yeah, was anybody good in it? Not really, right?
I kind of like...
Oh yeah, we said Chloe.
I kind of like the Chloe girl, but it was kind of just because she was a cutie pie. I liked her.
Yeah, bad movie though.
Not to objectify her, okay? But I thought she was cute.
Anything else we want to talk about before we get into Ichi the Killer? Any cool updates?
There was a movie I believe we were going to talk about that got a trailer.
Oh, oh yes, Jordan Peele's Nope. Dylan, you excited for Nope?
Nope.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about Ichi the Killer.
There we go.
Wait,
one more thing.
What?
Can we talk about the Halloween special of Smiling Friends?
Sure. Yeah. Let's talk about that. So, just real quick, Smiling Friends is a new Adult Swim cartoon. If you haven't heard about it, good cartoon. If you want to check it out, it's on HBO Max right now, streaming.
Yes, it is.
I'm a big fan of the creator Zach Hadel, and there's another creator, Michael Cusack. I don't know as much about him, but
he's one of the creators.
Michael Cusack and Zach Hadel.
I thought he just did voice work.
They're both the creators, and they voice the main characters.
Oh, okay.
It's a very zany, wacky cartoon. Very cool.
I have not seen... Well, I saw one episode, which is the one we're going to talk about.
And it was
briefly.
funny, too, the way that we selected the episode, because there's the... I won't spoil it. Let's not spoil it in case someone hasn't seen it and they want to check it out. Seriously, though, if you want to check it out, it's a good cartoon. But there's a special episode.
There is.
That's the Halloween episode. I recommend, I guess, watching in order, because I feel like that episode's more effective if you
have
seen like other episodes.
That was the only episode I've seen.
But Evan was like, let's watch Smiling Friends. And I was like, oh, I didn't expect you to say that because I didn't think you were interested in it. But so I was like, okay, what episode do you want to watch? And I was like, fuck it, like, you pick. Like, because I was thinking, like, oh, I want to show him the Halloween episode because I want to see his reaction.
Well, obviously, I'm going to pick... I saw Halloween special. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick the Halloween
But yeah,
special.
you immediately... That was the first one you picked.
It was between that and Charlie Dies and doesn't come back.
That's a funny title. That episode is actually maybe my least favorite episode.
Really?
The Charlie dies one. But it's a funny ass title. So yeah, Charlie dies and whatever.
He doesn't come back.
So we watched the Halloween episode. Evan, what would you rate the Halloween episode of Smiling Friends out of 10?
Like a 7.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's good.
It's not bad.
It was a good episode. I liked it.
But yeah, that episode is not very emblematic of the entire show. It's not. Everything else is quite different. But
it's a good halfway point episode. Episode 4.
Yeah, I would say so. Gives you a little bit of mix up. Changes it up a little bit. It's a good episode. Good show.
It was. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Fun time.
Fun time.
I would give it a 3 out of 3 stars.
That's good. You loved it.
I would give it a big toothy grin out of a smile.
Yeah, we should use that as a rating system.
That's what I would give it.
But yes, on to Ichi the Killer.
Now Ichi the Killer, this classic film, Evan.
The classic film by auteur filmmaker Takashi
Miike.
Miike. Right. Of course, we have talked about one of these movies before. Our most famous episode to date.
Oh, our claim to fame.
Audition. 9K views on Audition now. Thank you, everybody who clicked on it.
Thank you for watching Audition.
Thank you.
You know what I did on Audition, too?
You left a timestamp.
No, so the first timestamp we've ever done is now on Audition. That's what happens when you give us thousands of views. We actually put some work. And I also made it so the first recommended video is our most recent RNS episode.
On the channel.
Whatever our most recent episode is the suggested one on Audition.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
cool.
Cool.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, Evan, do you want to tell us what this movie is?
Okay, so Ichi the Killer. How do you even? What is the synopsis of this movie?
Actually, can I go? Can I mention something?
I was gonna say I actually like the synopsis Letterboxd has for it a lot.
Oh, go ahead.
But no. You go for it, Dylan.
Oh, well, I was gonna say it's very like the first thing I can equate it to is Hellraiser. That's the first thing.
They both have torture.
That's the first thing. Well, the thing is like the mixture of pleasure and pain.
Yeah, that is a part of Hellraiser. I haven't seen Hellraiser in a while. Not that long, but like 2 years or something.
That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah,
that's what it makes me think of. But what is the cool Letterboxd synopsis that they have? Do you have it in front of you?
Oh, before I get to that though, I just want to say this. So this is a movie I've seen many times, and this was Dylan's first time seeing.
Oh yeah, similar to Audition.
So yeah, I think that would be. We're gonna get Dylan's raw reaction.
Oh, certainly we are.
We are. Okay, so the cool Letterboxd synopsis. I'll get it out of it. Because I feel like it sums it up pretty well. So Letterboxd synopsis on this is, as sadomasochistic Yakuza enforcer Kakihara searches for his missing boss, he comes across Ichi, a repressed and psychotic killer who may be able to inflict levels of pain that Kakihara has only dreamed of. I say that's pretty spot on.
That's about right.
Yeah,
that's about right.
Dylan made an interesting point about what this movie's really about at the end, which I thought was funny.
Yeah,
you're like, yeah, it's about a newly single gay guy looking for his new lover.
Yeah,
I thought that was really funny. I don't know.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what Ichi the Killer is about.
It does really boil down to that.
Kind of, yeah. Just
not even just the gay thing, but there's a lot of characters in this movie.
There are.
But it's really just about Ichi and what is his name?
Kakihara. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Cool.
So this is a very famous film. Infamous, you may say.
I've certainly seen the poster and heard the title.
Yeah.
Because you recommended it to me a long time ago, but I never watched it. But I had heard of it before that.
Yeah, it's just known for being really like one of the most quote unquote disturbing films of all time. It's really violent. A lot of graphic subject matter, we can say, throughout the entire film. So yeah, that kind of his claim to fame. Similar to Audition in that way, because they're both kind of famous for that. So Dylan, you want to give just your raw reaction to this? Because you haven't told me what your thoughts are before we get into the meat of the film.
Well, look, Evan, the fact is, okay. Well, to compare it, this might be a good comparison. So if you have seen our Audition video, I did like Audition quite a lot. This movie, I definitely liked less.
That's understandable.
I don't think this is a movie that I could come out and say, like, I give this my classic 3 out of 3 stars right away. I might have to sleep on it. And actually, when we just started discussing Audition, I actually started liking it more.
Yeah.
Even though I did like it when I watched it and like shortly after, but when we had the discussion, I actually grew to like it more. So maybe it'll be similar here, but I'm a little softer on this one. And Audition is like pretty deep. I feel like this movie I don't see as deep.
I think this one is like a lot harder, because I still to this day, I've seen this movie many times. To this day I don't really get what it's trying to get at. I can give some of my ideas, which I'll get into, but I've never really understood like what it's really trying to get at.
Yeah, the closest thing I can think of is like the Hellraiser thing.
Yeah, so there's some
like,
of that.
The connection between pleasure and pain and like just in human beings.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. And I know like those two feelings come from the same place in the brain and shit like that. Like your pleasure and pain receptors are like the same thing or some shit like that. I'm not a fucking biologist. I don't know, but there's some shit like that. So there's like a weird intrinsic link between pain and pleasure, and that's definitely an element.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck it means, but that's an element. And arousal, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else? What else do you think is like a theme of this movie, Evan?
Okay, so first before I get into this, the way I first kind of pitched this movie to Dylan, like when we first talked about it, I do want to bring this up because there's a reason. So I told Dylan, like, oh, this is like a really fucked up version of Batman. That's the way I pitched the movie.
That was probably like 6 years ago you said that.
Was it that long ago?
It was like in senior year of high school.
Was it? Wow, was it really that long ago?
Yeah,
I didn't think it was that long.
I think it was like senior year of high school.
But yeah, that's the way I pitched it to Dylan. I was like, yeah, this is like fucked up Batman. How spot on would you say that was?
Oh, that's funny because so mentioning that, right before we started watching it, I asked Evan, I was like, what percentage accurate was that? Like, how true was that statement? And you were like, I don't know. Like, let's just watch it. We're here. Like, just watch it. But I was curious.
But now I'm putting it on
So
you.
my answer, like, how closely related is Ichi the Killer actually to Batman? I would say this movie in particular, relating maybe to, like, The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I would give it maybe, like, a 20%.
Okay.
30%.
Yeah, something like that.
Relation to Batman.
Yeah.
Because you have the protagonist who wears a black suit of armor and like
Kakihara is very Joker-esque
and is violent.
Yeah.
And then the villain Kakihara, you said his name is right.
Yeah.
He has a big
the
scar
Glasgow
smile.
The Glasgow smile.
Glasgow smile if you want to get fancy about it. And he constantly wears purple and he has the lightest color hair in the movie.
He does.
He loves pain and he loves inflicting pain. He tortures people and he of course the ending.
Yeah.
Which we talked about while we were watching it.
The closest Batman thing, more than anything, I really think is the Dark Knight is the closest thing you can compare to, like, very specific Batman thing. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we can get into it a little bit when we talk more about it. I think it was an influence on the Dark Knight. Nobody's ever said that officially, but I think that personally.
Officially in terms of, like, the Dark Knight.
Yeah, like Christopher Nolan never came out and be
like,
yeah, I really loved Ichi the Killer, and it was a big inspiration on the Dark Knight. Of course, he's never said that, but I think to me, at least, very clearly, Kakihara, I think, was the influence on his Joker.
I think that's probably accurate.
Like, you see the jackets and the Glasgow smile and all of that, but maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like that way anyways. But anyways, the reason I brought up the Dark Knight thing was you were saying, like, what else do you think going on there? So there's this great video by a YouTuber called MC Prophet. Shout out to you, MC Prophet. About No More Heroes. So I'm gonna make this all make sense. I will. I promise. I'm a little bit drunk, but
Stay
I'm
tuned.
gonna make it all make sense.
Okay.
He did a video on No More Heroes, and basically he was like, No More Heroes is kind of like. It's like No More Heroes is kind of like a real life take on like movie heroes or like not superheroes. It's kind of like
I've heard
they
that
have like every trope kind of throughout No More Heroes.
We've talked about that before. Like No More Heroes is kind of like what's it, Suda?
Yeah,
it's like Suda, the developer, the creator of No More Heroes. It's like his take on Western culture through like an Eastern lens.
Yes, like kind
that.
of like, sort of, yeah. That I think that's definitely a part of it, and that's definitely a part of it too. the westernization of Japan, especially, I think, is a part of Ichi the Killer, which we can get into a bit. But not even just like, oh, this like the Eastern take on Western tropes. More so, it's like this like maybe what these heroes would be like in reality, if that makes sense.
One thing that made me think of is you know, fridging.
What is that?
So for my comic book fans, okay,
Yeah,
my comic book friends out there, fridging was a term I think made up by Gail Simone on like message boards about comics in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it just refers to when a supporting character is killed off in the service of the story of the main character.
Yeah.
Specifically, that was about an issue of Green Lantern where the girlfriend of Green Lantern was murdered and stuffed in a fridge. And it was like a traumatic event for like Green Lantern to like brood over. And she was like, oh, well, you just killed this character and like dehumanized her just for the sake of like drama in one issue of Green Lantern. When that was like a whole character that I liked. Or some shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like this is maybe a commentary on that.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're kind of...
Not specifically.
Well, I see what you're getting at.
But...
So that's something in No More Heroes I was saying in this video. It's like, okay, so media and video games and stuff like that. Travis is kind of like an analog for the player, the main character of No More Heroes. And these are the assassins you fight are kind of like, well, the media and like the content you take in with these tropes, these characters, they portray them as like noble, but in reality they're kind of like all violent psychopaths.
Yeah.
Like Batman, for example, you know what I mean? They're not like as altruistic as like they're painted in like comic books or video games, movies, etc. Most of the time they're like kind of like mentally ill people who are like have violent tendencies.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like that's an aspect of No More Heroes. And that's how I see Ichi the Killer. It's like a very brutal look at like a Batman or a superhero or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, what this like real life vigilante looks like is like extremely mentally ill psychopath like Ichi. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
I think that's definitely a part of what's going on in this movie.
I agree.
Tell me what you think.
Yeah, I think I don't know if the angle is like this is closer to a realer motivation, or this is closer to like the actual mental state of a person that would be like this. I don't know exactly what the angle is.
Me either.
But I know what you're saying, because certainly there's no one in real life that does that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say like
what it would be like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he's poking at the viewer a bit too, because like they're like he's like, oh, you love this fucking violence? Well, here's what it actually looks like. And when you see it in reality, or in something like this, it's like, oh, kind of sickening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's because I have a twisted, demented fucking brain, but a lot of the violence I laughed at, and I don't think that's
very
not
goofy.
intentional.
It's very goofy.
I don't, so it's hard to read in that way.
Yeah.
Because, well, for those of you, if you haven't seen it and you were just curious and you're just watching this for some reason, the way that Ichi kills people is he has like blades that come out of the back of the heels of his boot, and he just like kicks people and like shreds them in a very hyper violent, like heightened kind of way, like not very realistic. So
it's hard to say, like I said, because it's not really true to reality. But continue. I apologize.
Well, I'm just saying it's hard to be disgusted for me.
Yeah.
Because even in the torture scenes,
those are the real heavy parts of it. Really,
the torture scenes are.
And like the bodily mutilation type scenes.
Yeah, all the torture stuff is, let's just call it torture.
Yeah.
Like whatever, like body horror shit.
Yeah.
All that stuff is not, it doesn't affect me very much in this movie. Way less, of course, than Audition. Because also Audition kind of builds to it.
Yes, yeah. Whereas this is kind of throughout the whole
This
thing.
movie, you get random hyper-violence action scene type of deal.
Yeah.
Mixed with, like, kind of more realistic torture. Mixed with, like, kind of hyper-realistic torture. It's kind of all over the place. And I didn't laugh in Audition. I laughed in this movie. For sure.
Yeah, this is, like... I've seen people call it, like, a dark comedy. And I think that's kind of spot on.
I think so.
Because it is very goofy at points.
I'm not the type of guy that would like laugh at Saw.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I would.
It's not like Saw though. It's definitely way goofier
Yeah.
than Saw. Yeah.
I would laugh at fucking Spiral. But
that movie sucks.
Like the shitty spinoff, like something like that. But like a more serious like torture movie, even if it was bad, I wouldn't really laugh at it because it's like But this movie, it felt deliberate. Like
yes.
After I laughed, I didn't feel like, oh, Evan thinks I hate this movie he likes. Like I felt I felt like it was like, oh, this is like intentional.
Yeah. And it's never really like that in Audition at all.
No.
Yeah.
Audition is like 100% straight.
Yeah, yeah.
Even when it's like him eating out of the dog bowl and shit, it just feels creepy.
Yeah.
Like, and disturbing the whole time. But this movie felt a lot more goofy.
Yeah, I agree. So do you want to get into the plot at all? Like.
Well, yeah. Let's just start with the opening, right?
Yeah. So the opening, I actually really like this opening a lot. Not like that one specific, but like the way it builds up at the very beginning, is kind of like all over the place.
Kind of tracking around the city.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that a lot. It just looked really cool to me, and you kind of get a quick introduction to like all the characters, for the most part. Kakihara shows up a little bit later, but like the cop or the ex-cop.
Right.
Some of the gang members. Then you get like he's on the phone with his son. So the cop has like a son and his wife left him or whatever. Well, he was a cop. He works with the Yakuza.
That may or may not come back.
Yeah. And he went to like, they're like in a hotel room next to the room their boss is in. And the cop's like, oh, should I go over and like make sure the boss is okay? And one of the other gang members like, what, you want to fucking hear him fucking his girl or whatever? He's like, no, you sit in the chair. Like, don't worry about it.
He's like, we pay you. Like, shit, sit down.
Yeah,
like, shit like that. He's like, you're a bodyguard.
Of course, he should have went and looked probably.
Yeah, he was probably the most competent person in that room, but that's okay.
But anyways, then we get a very brutal scene. Well, what does it show before? Does it show anything before we get like the first like real rough thing in this movie? I guess do we see the other people who are like part of Ichi's crew, like Gigi and the other two guys?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, they'll clean up the mess that we see in a bit. But anyways, we start out with a really brutal scene of the pimp basically beating and raping one of his girls.
Oh, is that what it starts with?
Yeah.
Oh.
We get that scene with the cop.
Oh,
and then,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then of course we see the character of Ichi
blasting his milk all over the place.
Yeah, so he's watching and he does some unholy things while watching.
Yeah, he blasts a hot fucking white load of cum.
He does.
So yeah, he's leering from outside the window while this woman's being brutally raped and
yeah, it's
and
very
beaten.
very disturbing. But then they break up.
The cum is really slimy.
It is.
And white.
They break up how like serious and disturbing this is immediately by making the transition, like, so you see Ichi cum on the ground, and it like transitions into the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the cum starts like seeping into the ground or something, and it forms the logo.
Yeah. So.
For the title.
And then immediately after, Ichi goes and kills the boss we were just talking about. His name's Boss Anjo. And there might have been like another goon with him in there. I'm not sure. Was it only him?
I remember just seeing him at the foot of the bed, like
it might have been only him,
like the
and maybe the girl he was with. He might have killed her
yeah,
too.
yeah.
But
or no, really that would have been his girlfriend, or no?
They said he was there with a girl, and that's who they thought he ran off with when they were looking for him initially.
I guess it wasn't his girlfriend,
which we'll get into.
But his girlfriend comes back.
Oh yeah, the Karen woman. No, it wasn't her. So Ichi goes immediately after watching the brutal rape and jerking off to it. He goes and kills Boss Anjo and whoever else he was with. We assume.
And that kind of sets off the whole movie.
Yeah, basically.
So it's really it's Ichi opposed against that gang.
Yeah, kind of.
More or less.
Ichi and the guys he's with.
Yeah.
Gigi and all of them. Gigi played by Shinya Tsukamoto. Another famous Japanese director. I gave Dylan that little fun fact. I was like, that's the director of Tetsuo the Iron Man.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah. They clean up the mess though first. We see them all go in there, so we don't really get a good look at Ichi at the very beginning. But they all go and clean up his mess. And the other two dudes on the crew is interesting. I don't think they even know Ichi, because they ask Gigi, they're like, "What is Ichi like?"
Yeah,
He
they're like,
doesn't-
so what is this Ichi
Yeah,
guy?
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They just work with him, but like only Gigi has any actual like direct contact with Ichi.
Another interesting thing though that I just kind of thought about, the rape scene is very brutal.
Yeah,
and like
it is.
played
it is.
completely realistic.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you get to the dead boss, there's like 8 people's like worth of blood. Like it's one guy, but the blood is like covering.
Yeah,
everything.
when he kills the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it was like all over the room.
Yeah, like
So-
covering the ceiling, covering the floor.
So like you said, that like the stark differences between the violence they portray in the movie.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's intentional or it's weird.
it must be intentional.
I guess, yeah. Because like I
So-
said, that's played completely straight, but then you get that and it's very goofy, like
Yeah.
there's blood all over the room, and like the fake like intestines and shit like laying on the ground, and he slips on it. One of them slips on it.
Yeah, and he's just laying in the goo
Yeah.
and like the entrails, and he's like, oh, that's when he says it. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's
so
like-
what is this Ichi guy like anyway?
And I don't know. Does he say anything there when he asks him that? I don't think he says anything, right?
I don't know.
But anyway, say clean up the mess, and then we get kind of a cool transition, like the room being like going from like disgusting to clean, and then we get Kakihara there, played by famous Japanese actor Tadanobu Asano. I'm quite a fan.
The goat.
He's the goat. The goat. He's one of the Warrior 3 in the classic Thor franchise.
Yeah, along with famous character actor, the guy from Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Is that him?
I forget his name.
Was that him in it? He was one of the other
Yeah,
of the Warriors. I know which one you're talking about.
it's
Yeah.
like them and then a fat guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
His name's like Deckard or something. What is his name?
I have no idea. I only know
Anyways.
him.
Anyway, he was on Psych. That's
Oh, okay,
what I know him from.
Psych. Classic show.
Classic Psych.
Classic show. And yeah, we get our cool introduction to Kakihara, smoking the cig, and we see the glass cow smile. But man, this man got drip.
He does have drip.
He has a drip.
He has drip the whole movie.
His suits are fresh as fuck.
He
and
does.
his white shoes, the blonde hair, the bleached blonde hair. It looks cool as hell.
He does look cool.
Um,
There's like piercings on his face.
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of deal.
I should get some of those. Some
Yeah,
piercings.
you should.
Yeah,
You should get some snake bites.
yeah.
You know, classic snake bites.
Are those
Those
what are
are-
those?
Wait, what are the? I think snake bites are above your upper lip,
Above my. Oh no.
and then. Oh no, those are angel bites.
Angel bites.
Snake bites are under the
Under,
lower
I know
lip.
exactly. Yeah, the two are. Yeah.
Angel bites, I think, are the. I had a lot of emo girlfriends.
I'm gonna get a septum piercing.
That's cool.
Yeah, it never looks great on dudes. In my
Septum,
opinion.
no, it does not look good on guys.
You
Unless
know,
they're
but,
gay.
If you're into that, whatever. More power to you.
Yeah, the villain of this movie's into that.
No, he don't got a septum.
We'll see the
He
villain.
just got cool cheek.
No, he's
piercings.
into that though.
He's into septum piercing.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe. He might be.
Speculation. Good speculation.
Yeah.
Healthy speculation.
So yeah, when Kakihara finds out the boss is missing, he's immediately. Everyone else is like, they kind of just assume the rest. They're like, he's either dead or he betrayed the gang and ran off with the money. And Kakihara's the only one's like, no, he must be alive, and I'm gonna find him. And then we find out the reasons for that are kind of selfish, I guess. His reasons for it.
Well, I think it's personal.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, personal. Yeah, I don't think Kakihara's like straight up gay, but he's like bisexual.
Well,
He's into a lot of shit.
my
yeah.
my point is, he was gay with the boss.
Yeah,
which is
definitely.
why he didn't want to accept his death.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, like, it's like throughout the movie they kind of hint that it's like, kind of a rumor in like the crime underworld, like Kakihara and Boss Anjo had a thing with each other,
Right.
and they never really get into it. Was it deliberately just Boss Anjo beating the shit out of him and Kakihara got sexual gratification from it, or was it like a two-way thing?
I think
they
it
never
was,
really like say straight up.
I lean towards it being mutual
I think so too.
because
probably.
of the scene later where he's with the girl. Kakihara's
Yeah.
with the girl. What he says to her kind of makes me think it was mutual.
Yeah.
And plus, he never killed him. Like, the boss never killed Kakihara
Oh,
or
yeah,
anything.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
they could just continue to do that. So
Yeah.
I think it
so-
was mutual.
Yeah. I would agree.
Um,
But the point is, they never explicitly say like, "Oh," he's never like, "Oh my god, I miss my lover." And
There's
it's
never
always like-
there's never like, oh, like we had sex, like we're
Yeah,
gay. Like
yeah.
it wasn't. No, it wasn't quite like that. So that's interesting.
But yeah, like you said, it's personal. So he's like, he doesn't want to believe that he's dead or that he betrayed them or anything. Because he wants to keep that relationship going, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kakihara's an extreme sadomasochist.
Right.
And then I guess he leans more towards... I don't know which one he leans more towards.
No, I don't...
Because we see he's definitely
I don't think you could even say.
Yeah, and then he's definitely a masochist.
I don't think he leans towards either. I think he just...
Yeah, but the point is that I think he's on the extreme side of both ends.
Yeah.
That's fair to say.
Because I think the reason that he is kind of interested in Ichi...
Yeah, because he's like, oh, Ichi's gonna, like, give me the greatest pain I can feel.
I think the reason he does torture people so much is because he doesn't have anyone else, like, torturing him.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I don't have both, so I'll just do this one. Like,
yeah,
he would probably be doing an equal amount of both if he had both kind of things or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's kind of what I got from it anyways.
Yeah, and it's like, when he finds out about Ichi, which we'll get into, he's like, oh, Ichi's gonna, like, deliver, like, the greatest, most fulfilling pain that I've ever experienced. Which is kind of interesting. That's, like, definitely some Joker-esque type shit.
Definitely.
Yeah. Especially, like, Dark Knight, like we were mentioning.
Just from the aesthetic of, what's his name? I'm sorry. Kakihara?
Kakihara. Yeah.
Just his aesthetic and his, like, not just his aesthetic, but his motivation.
Yeah.
Is, like...
kind of Dark Knight.
It's very Dark Knight Joker. Yeah. But in this movie, it feels more... Like, in the Dark Knight, it just feels like these two icons, like, they're in love with each other. They're fighting them for eternity. But this movie feels more like it's a commentary...
Yeah.
On something.
I don't know what, though, exactly. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say.
I guess I'm probably going to be stuck on my first thought when we started talking. I didn't have this thought before we started talking about it, so I'm glad we're talking about it. But the idea that this is like a commentary on like Western fiction or blockbusters or popular fiction, maybe even anime.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where I would land on it, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like, I was saying, I felt like, oh, this was an influence on The Dark Knight, but we were talking about this before, but this probably, Batman was, in general, was probably an influence on this, I would say.
I think...
It seems safe to say.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's probable.
I mean, like, the bright villain and then... Well, neither one of them are really good or bad. They're both fucking deeply evil, I would say.
Yeah, they're both bad people,
yeah.
definitely. There's no...
But, like, the black suit and then, like, the bright...
And the black suit with the yellow as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, that was Batman at the time.
Yeah.
Because this was before Batman Begins.
Yeah, and the yellow logo.
At the time, it was black and yellow was Batman. So.
Yeah, so that's an aspect of it.
But it's definitely this like, if this was inspired by the Joker, like, of course I don't mean the Dark Knight, because the Dark Knight was later for anyone that isn't thinking about, because this movie was 2001.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think we straight off said that this came out in 2001.
It'll be in the title of the video.
If it will be in the title of the video. If this was inspired by the Joker, this is like a crazy, like, what's the word? When you, like, add to something, I don't know. It's a creative take on the Joker. And then...
It's an innovative take on the Joker.
Innovative take on the Joker. So it's like... Or, like, iterative? That's not a word.
I'm not sure, honestly, like, which word you're
It's like
for.
iterating on the Joker.
Yeah.
Like, building on it.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, there's a copy of the Joker. But then, like, if you dial it back to Heath Ledger's Joker versus this, like, that feels like... It's not an iteration. It feels like a copy. Like the Heath Ledger Joker versus this. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah. And they're both very handsome. Heath Ledger and him. You know, they have a similar aesthetic. Like, just actors in general, I would say.
They are handsome fellas.
Oh, at least him with the blonde hair, kind of.
Yeah.
I feel like Joker isn't usually cast as, like, kind of like a pretty boy. Usually.
Yeah.
And they did that with Heath Ledger, so I don't know.
Yeah, he usually has, like, a long, bumpy head.
Yeah.
Like, shit like that.
Like, Joaquin Phoenix is kind of weird looking, so, you know, like, you know what I mean? Or Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson's also very strange looking.
And Cesar Romero.
I guess, I don't know what they were going for with Jared Leto, but we don't have to get into that.
That was something else.
Yeah.
But, Evan, can I ask you a deep question?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What the fuck do you think this means?
Which part?
What do you think this means? This
just in general?
Yeah.
I don't know. We got into that a little bit earlier.
I don't know. It's kind of nutty.
It is very nutty.
It's kind of nutty. So we didn't get into like Ichi's backstory. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So what were we talking about as far as plot wise? Okay, yeah. So we kind of set up the beginning of it. The next is kind of like him just looking for the boss, and some shit happens along the way. We're introduced to Ichi like right after this, pretty much. I guess we probably don't have to break down the entire plot. Like,
yeah.
All you need to know is we set up the beginning, and that kind of sets everything in motion.
Yeah, really, like I said, we kind of set it up. It's Ichi versus that gang.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And then he's being kind of controlled by Gigi, who's trying to set up everybody against each other, basically.
Yeah.
He kind of wants to get rid of all the gangs. We don't really know why, but we can maybe get into that a little bit. So yeah, Ichi, his real background, we don't know too much about him.
I think
the only thing we get is that he killed his parents.
He killed his family, and then he was brainwashed.
Yeah.
And the movie does not, so spoilers.
Yeah.
The movie does not reveal that until quite a bit into the movie.
Yeah, that's kind of like the twist or whatever.
Yeah.
Or at least one of them. So yeah, Ichi had killed his parents, and that's the only real thing we find out about his background. So I guess it can be assumed that he was maybe psychotic beforehand.
Yeah.
How him and Gigi met, we don't really know. So he like implanted fake memories into Ichi's head and got him to become like his own personal assassin. So the memory he had implanted in him was that he was like someone who had been bullied in school and always picked on. I guess he wanted to use that as his motivation to like fucking kill bad people. And that's kind of also like a dark superhero type origin. You know what I mean?
So that's what I was kind of getting at with the getting fridged thing.
Yeah.
Is like he has a made up backstory where this made up woman is forced to suffer.
Okay, so yeah, we didn't even get into that.
And then also like he derives literal pleasure from that.
Yeah, so he was being bullied, and then the bullies eventually like make this woman he like had feelings for, or was his only friend, or
what
whatever,
happens is
they rape her. Yeah,
she was trying to stick up for him.
Yes,
and then she gets raped.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, I think I overdid it with the rape part." Gigi says that directly, because like, yeah, now Ichi like gets pleasure from that, which it's like the traumatizing memory he has
from rape and violence against women.
Yeah. This like traumatizing memory he has and become like a source of pleasure for him, which is like, I don't know what to say if that sounds real, but it's like, I don't know.
There's a lot of things that you could read into that about.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of people. Well, I mean, there's a surface value. There are people that literally enjoy pain.
Yeah.
Enjoy watching other people in pain, enjoy their own pain. But there's also people that revel in their own kind of like victimhood.
Yeah.
There's also people that...
And that's like some superhero type shit.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
Exactly.
Some Batman shit.
Yeah, like taking your pain and making it like your entire life.
Yeah. And then in this case, it's gone like... It went left. It went left. It went in all the wrong ways.
And in kind of the... in terms of like the fridging thing...
Yeah.
Like the comic book... Very specific, the comic book way... You could interpret, what's his name? Gingy?
Oh, Gigi.
Gingy, the gingerbread man from Shrek?
Yeah, Gingy. Oh, you're talking about Gingy.
Yeah.
He has a classic cameo in this film.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, Gigi. Like, you're talking about the like...
You can interpret that...
boss or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, you can interpret, like, when he's like, oh, I went too far with the rape thing.
Yeah.
You can interpret that as, like, a writer.
Yeah, like George Lucas being like, I went too far with Jar Jar Binks. Okay, that was stupid. But...
I may have gone too far in a few places.
Yeah.
It's like, he predicted that.
Yeah, no, deadass. It's like kind of on that shit. So yeah, he was trying to give him a backstory, and then like, he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have did the rape thing, because then that's like, yeah, it really fucked.
It complicated things.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so it's like, not only does he have this like weird thing where he wants to like get revenge on like the bullies of the world, and for Gigi, the bullies that he makes him kill are the other Yakuza members. Specifically this like one gang. It seems like he really has not even just all the Yakuza, but like really the one he wants to get is like Kakihara's gang, and we never find out why, but maybe we can like speculate a little bit. I have my theories.
Ooh.
I have my theories.
Ooh.
And I've never read the manga, by the way. This is based on a manga. And
A film.
there might
theory.
be more. There might be more into it, but
Yeah, it was interesting. You told me while we were watching it, you were like, "Oh, there's a manga it's based on."
yeah.
But you don't want to kind of taint the movie.
Yeah, because I like the movie a lot. So, but anyways, okay, so yeah, not only is he like getting revenge against them bullies, but also because of the rape, it's become like a sexual thing too. And then like the only way he's able to kill is if he's like gets like sexually excited beforehand. That's what it seems like. It's weird. The way we don't really know is like he gets sexual pleasure from killing, but also he has to have like gotten some relief before he goes and does it also. Because we see that at the very beginning with him watching the rape. Which maybe in his mind is like recreating what happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To get him to want to go and kill. It's like, oh, you did this to her. So, I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah. And then plus we see that at one point, I don't remember who he's like facing, but he talks to that same prostitute that he watches get beaten and raped.
Yeah.
He talks to her, and then he says that he'll kill the man that raped her.
Yeah.
And then he goes and he's watching them again. It's the same couple, like I said.
Yeah.
And then the guy notices, drags Ichi inside. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Blah, blah, blah. And it like goes on for a while. And it gets very uncomfortable, and Ichi gets like very uncomfortable.
Or he starts crying.
And
that's another
crying.
thing about him. He cries.
Yeah, and so
Which is back to the childhood thing.
it's like it goes on for so long before he decides to kill him.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like you said, like he kind of needs to get like flustered or up or something.
Yeah. I don't know. It's strange.
He has to be emotional.
Yeah, emotional. Either like crying or he has to be like horny.
Yeah.
That's what it seems, yeah. And I guess, yeah, that kind of goes back to the whole trauma thing. Because those seem to be the two main key emotions he was feeling in that moment. When he witnessed that happening. So, yeah, that's disturbing. But anyways, can we talk about when he kills that pimp, though? It's very goofy. Him chopping him in half.
Oh, he splits him right in half.
Yeah, it's very goofy. It's like really bad CGI.
Yeah, the CGI is really bad in that part, but
it's funny.
It is funny.
I have the classic Supreme T-shirt that they did of that. I have that T-shirt.
Yeah, I think I probably asked you a couple times, like, what is the shirt? And you're like, oh, Ichi the Killer.
Yeah.
I think so.
Classic T-shirt. Thank you, Supreme. Anyways, so yeah, that's Ichi background. Very disturbing, like we said.
Well, and there's one thing that we didn't mention either, is that he also said that he wished he had raped her.
Well, that comes a bit later.
Yeah.
With the Karen character.
Well, we've kind of been all over the place.
Well, yeah.
But since we're just talking about Ichi, I guess, I don't know.
Well, he does say that. Actually, he says that early on, when he said he had the dream about her. He said that he wishes he had been the one doing that.
Yeah, and he also does that weird thing where he's like playing PS2.
Is he playing Tekken?
But he's like completely not present.
Yeah.
Weird.
Very disturbing. It really is. It's moving crazy.
Yeah, and I get the impression, this is interesting too, that like Ichi, because at one part, I don't remember who's describing Ichi, but he's like, oh, he's a good boy most of the time.
It must have been Gigi.
Right?
Yeah.
That makes...
Because he's the only one who, like, talks about Ichi, like, to other people.
He's the only one who knows who he is, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's interesting to me about that is, like, could he have been... Like we were saying, he all we know about him before he became this, like, tool for him to, like, kill people. His parents. Is that he killed his parents. So was he...
And for all we know, it's, like, maybe, like, his parents were, like, fucking, like, terrible people and he killed... Like, we don't really know.
Yeah, we don't know if he was in the wrong for that or not, or what, but what's interesting to me is like Ichi could have been completely irredeemable, but through the brainwashing it was like maybe he was forced to think of himself as like, oh, I'm a good person, but I have this like weird thing, like this one weird thing where maybe he used to be like a complete evil psychopath, but like he kind of forced him into thinking he was a decent person to like make him work. Yeah,
also part of me thinks that maybe he wasn't a terrible person before at the same time, because we have like a couple moments where he's like no, I don't want to kill anymore. I don't want to do this. And then Gigi kind of had to, like, use his magic or whatever to kind of get him back into doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe it's like him slipping out of the character that Gigi built for him.
Maybe, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's part of it. Because, like, there's a time he, like, comes out after killing all those dudes in one of the apartments or whatever. He's, like, puking. And then we hear him on the phone. He's saying, like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. I guess that would make me lean more towards he was probably a good person before he got brainwashed. Or at least
that makes me think, like, he's, like, the most evil motherfucker in the movie.
Probably.
He's one of them, at least. Everyone, like we said, everyone in this movie is, like, a piece of shit for the most part.
There's not really... Like, the only good person is, like, a random, like, thug.
Yeah, that one gang guy.
That's the most redeemable person. Because not only is he, like... Because there's some people where it's, like, they get tortured... and you don't know anything about them, or like they're in the background. But this guy had a moment of like humanity where he was like, I can't watch this shit.
Yeah, he's like, oh, let me know when this is over.
This is my job, but I'm just like, I can't watch this shit.
Yeah, and he's also talking to the former cop, I think his name's Kaneko or something like that. The guy who used to be a cop who becomes like a bodyguard. And he was like, yeah, I just joined the Yakuza because I thought it'd be like, is like better than being a fool working a 9 to 5. But he's like, I didn't really get into it for like the crazy shit that's happening right now.
Yeah, and a woman's like screaming, having her tits cut off in the background while he's saying that.
Yeah, so it's like, he's just like kind of standard gang member.
Yeah, he just wanted a job.
Yeah.
He's like the guy in Iron Man 3 that's like, I didn't sign up for this. Like, please
kind
let
of,
me. You know what I'm talking about?
He just kind of got into something that's like much bigger than him, I guess you could say.
Yeah, he didn't think the Yakuza were crazy like that.
Yeah. The Yakuza kind of goofy in this movie, though, just in general. Like,
kinda.
Like, we have that old guy who's, like, barely alive. The guy who looks like Miyamoto.
Yeah, there's a guy that kind of looks like Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah.
And he's, like,
faded. And all his scenes are goofy as fuck. Like, he can barely stand.
Movie. Yeah.
There's one where he's, like, on a webcam, like, being shown through a TV.
It's weird, because,
like
is he supposed to be, like a drug addict?
I don't know. He's either like sickly or drugged out. Yeah.
It read to me as like,
I thought sickly. That's what I thought. But I don't know.
I kind of read it as like being a druggie or something because he didn't look old enough to be like that woozy.
Didn't look old. Yeah.
He looked like maybe 60.
Maybe younger than that.
Like
honestly.
maybe like 60. Yeah, maybe younger.
Yeah.
Or like even just like a solid 60.
Yeah.
Like you look good for your
something
age,
like
kind
that.
of thing,
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah. But I don't know what to fucking make of that character. That's weird.
Yeah, he's not in it for too long. Just kind of a goofy role.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk about the character of Gigi a little bit?
Sure.
So, we never really find out what his motive is.
Yeah.
And he has like the other 2 crew members he's working with, but he wants them dead too. As we come to find out, well, one of them dies a bit early on. He used to be a member of Kakihara's gang, and then he gets caught, and the Kakihara murders him. And then the other one we see when he gives Ichi the pictures. He had already been caught by Kakihara, but he wanted Ichi to kill him as well. You remember?
There's
the
a guy
who said it looks like Lupin. Yeah.
The guy that looks like Lupin, and then he winds up with like the skinned hand kind of deal.
He gets kidnapped anyway, so Ichi didn't have to kill him because they were already...
But yeah, they reveal that through...
Actually, no, I do think Ichi did kill him. Because he wasn't dead yet while they were still torturing him. So I think Ichi came in the room and killed him as well. As one of the detective brothers.
The TV guy?
No, not the TV guy.
The Lupin guy.
Yeah. Because Kakihara didn't kill him.
I guess.
They ran out of the apartment because they thought Ichi was there. And then Ichi comes and kills one of the detective brothers. And then he must have killed him too.
Yeah.
The point is that like Gigi wants anybody involved with the criminal shit and this gang just dead. We never really find out why. But I do have my theories, maybe.
Well, let's get into your theory.
Do you have any ideas, Dylan?
I have no fucking clue.
Me, I think either he used to be a gang member who got cut out or like fucked over somehow, or he might have been an ex-cop. And he might have been fucked over by these gangs or something like that. The reason I think the ex-cop thing, though, is because, we haven't gotten too much into the ex-cop character who's in the gang, Kaneko. We haven't gotten too much in him. Maybe we can talk about him a bit. But towards the end of the movie, Gigi gives, like, another fake backstory to Ichi where he's like, yeah, that guy's actually your long-lost brother.
Yeah.
And I think there's a reason he did that. Because he didn't want Ichi to kill him.
Maybe
for whatever reason, that's the one guy...
He used to know him, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, because those two characters never actually meet face to face. So he might have known him. That's a possibility. But for whatever reason, he didn't want that one specific character dead. So I guess he didn't think he was like, a villain or even just a gang member, whatever. He just got kicked out of the police because he lost his gun. And I think maybe he wanted Ichi to die. Maybe after Ichi finished killing everybody, he sees him as like, I'm not gonna kill you, and then he would just shoot Ichi.
That would make sense.
I think he was like, yeah, this is the end, because by that point it's kind of like the end of it. The only person he needs dead left is like Kakihara and the two detective brothers.
And Ichi, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean on Ichi's end, he only wanted him to go ahead and kill them, and now he's done. And then I'm guessing maybe he wanted the cop to kill Ichi.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then that would cut every like loose end, I guess you could say.
Yeah, because also right before that, like you said, so there's a point where Ichi's basically being I don't know the word. I don't know. He's being fed people to kill.
Yeah.
And then towards like the middle-ish of the movie or something, he's given files of specific people to kill.
This is like right at the end. It's like the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Where he
gets those files. Yeah.
So, and like Evan said, there are like normal Yakuza guys in there, and there's also a couple people that work with Ichi.
Yeah.
So it would make sense to me that, like, if you keep going, like, maybe that the cop, like, so what he says is, like, that's your brother.
Yeah.
Like, which he just buys because the guy's a hypnotist or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Which is also interesting. Yeah.
Lazy writing towards the end, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't mean on the part of the movie, but on the term, like, the character, like, to Ichi.
Yeah.
It's a lazy writing. It's like, oh, you had a brother. But yeah, that's very interesting. That makes sense to me. I think that's probably right.
I've never even thought about that until this viewing. Honestly, with this,
really?
I was like, maybe that's what he was trying to get out of that.
That is interesting.
And then it doesn't work out the way he wanted it to.
No.
If we see, yeah.
Yeah, because it would make sense that you would assume that's how it would play out. Like, you tell this brainwashed fucker, like, this is your brother, like, be nice to him.
Yeah.
And then he would, like, slowly approach him, and you would think the cop would just
blast him, yeah.
Yeah, blast him. But
he didn't know they already had a moment with each other. So it makes things more complicated.
Yeah, so he did know that, though.
Oh, he did know about that?
At least in the subtitles. I don't know if it's in Japanese the same way. But he's like, the nice policeman that gave you your meal is your brother.
Oh, he did know. Okay, no, okay. I'm wrong. He did know. Okay.
So, yeah, but it would make sense on his end either way. That it's like, oh, well, I'll kind of neuter Ichi by telling him this.
Yeah.
And then the cop will not think twice about it and kill him. That makes sense.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's really interesting.
But then, like we said, once we get to the like final battle or whatever you want to call it on the roof, it doesn't really end up working out.
No, it doesn't play out at all how he wanted it. But
yeah, I think he was assuming Kakihara would already be dead by this point, but that doesn't end up happening. And then he kills the cop because he shoots Ichi, and then Ichi kind of like in self-defense, it just slices his throat
with his broken legs.
Yeah, with his one good leg, I think. And he just ends up falling on the ground and crying, because that's what Ichi does. He just cries, and then Kakihara is completely left disappointed, because he's like, oh, he didn't get that battle he was hoping for. But anyways, the ending's interesting. It's like, I think it's also back to kind of the violence superhero thing. I think it's meant to be kind of disappointing. Because throughout the whole movie, you're given all this graphic, like, extreme violence. And then it's, like, kind of building up to this, like, showdown between Kakihara and Ichi. And then he's kind of like, oh, well, fuck you, you're not getting anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's zero conflict between them.
Yeah. It's not even just the viewer. Kakihara also, it's just, like, he's extremely let down. Because his idea of Ichi, he hasn't met Ichi at all throughout the entire movie. He's just kind of an idea. And then he kind of, like, just built... It, like, gets more and more intense in Kakihara's mind. He's like, oh, this Ichi's, like, fucking insane. Like, because he sees, like, the dude with the broken bones, and he assumed Ichi did that. It wasn't him. It was actually Gigi. Which is... Yeah, Gigi is also ripped. This movie's really weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
He's, like, ripped as fuck, which we see later. And he
that
breaks...
is very strange.
He breaks the guy we were saying might be, like, the only decent person in the movie.
Yeah.
He breaks all his bones.
What does he do to him?
He breaks his neck and then he, like, contorts all his fucking arms and shit.
Was I, like, not looking?
We don't see it. We just see him grab his head and break his neck. But then we see later the bodies in front of the apartment.
Oh, he's all twisted
the bones
up.
are, like, twisted. Which is weird, because he already broke his neck, so he didn't have to go ahead and
He just kept playing with his body,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, like I said, weird fucking movie.
But no, so, and also, like, to explain, if you haven't seen it, this character, what's his name again?
Which one?
The guy who's controlling...
Oh, Gigi. Yeah.
So, Gigi is, like, a small Asian guy.
Yeah.
The whole movie. Just like
Shinya Tsukamoto.
Just a normal Asian guy. Normal, small Asian guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this one part where, like we said, he basically gets cornered by a kind of a standard bodyguard, Yakuza a Yakuza muscle guy.
Yeah, he's big. He's a bigger guy.
Yeah. And then fucking Gigi...
We need to talk about our fan cast, by the way.
We do.
We'll get into that.
We have some fan casting.
That'll be the fun part of the
fan casting for a Western version of the movie. But, so Gigi, the guy who's kind of controlling Ichi, he's cornered. He's kind of just a normal small Asian guy. He takes off his coat. And
he's wearing like this like jumpsuit throughout the whole movie, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
he jumpsuit. I don't know. It's like this
overcoat
outfit he wears throughout the whole
or something
movie.
like that. But yeah, he takes off the coat or whatever, and he's just fucking like 50s bodybuilder, like huge.
And he's like his head is rotoscoped.
And his head is like, I don't know if it's rotoscoped.
It probably wasn't rotoscoped, but it's like what it looks like.
It might be rotoscoped, is what it would be called, even if it's just the face.
Yeah.
I don't know. Basically, yeah, it's just. The point is, it's his head on a giant buff guy's body. I don't know what the deal is with that, but.
But anyways, the point is, later Kakihara sees that body and he thinks it was Ichi, and he's like, this idea of Ichi becomes even more insane. Like, oh, he can like break bones and shit. Like, he's like, this dude is crazy, and that's why he starts getting excited. You remember? He's like, oh, I'm so anxious, and he says, I'm afraid, and he's like, no, he's like, I'm afraid of myself. Like, he's afraid of, like, what, like, oh, how he might act. He's gonna act. He's like, I'm finna act up.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, he's like, I haven't been this, like, excited and anxious in, like, so long and shit like that.
Yeah, it's, crazy.
Well, you know what we didn't talk about?
What?
You know what? We didn't talk about one part.
Which part? Which part?
The part where, what's his name? Kakihara?
Yeah, Kakihara.
Kakihara.
Yeah, Kakihara.
I'll never remember.
It's okay.
Ichi's very easy.
I'll remind you throughout the movie. It's also the title of the movie, so.
Ichi's super easy to remember. So Ichi the Killer is not in the scene I'm about to talk about. We're talking about
Kakihara.
We're talking about Cock. So there's one part where he had wrongfully tortured another Yakuza member from a different gang.
Yeah, so Gigi sets up like the two different gangs against each other who are like part of the same crime syndicate. Yeah, I was just saying that for context.
Yeah, so
he blames the murder of Boss Andrew on him, so Kakihara tracks him down and tortures him.
Yeah, so since Gigi had lied and said the murder was on someone else, not Ichi, which, you know, he's playing everyone behind the scenes, shit like that. The point is to what's the word? Kind of apologize. That's not the right word, but like kind of.
Are you talking about Kakihara?
Yeah.
Yeah, to like, I guess apologize, but it's like
there's a better word
when you like fuck up in the mafia and they like take your pinky or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the extreme version of that.
Yeah. So, basically to show penance or whatever the fuck, I don't know the perfect word for it, but, he's basically brutally tortured and mutilated like a different gang member wrongfully.
Yeah.
And they're like one or two fingers is not gonna cut it. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck do you think is gonna happen? So he's either gonna get like, I don't know.
They wanted to kick him out of the syndicate.
They wanted to kick him
first,
out.
yeah, which ends up happening later, anyways. And he takes over the Andrew gang. He kind of goes rogue.
He does go rogue.
Yeah.
He does go rogue, which is pretty nutty. But so to stay in the gang, and I think at that point he still thinks the boss is still alive, which was we were talking about. Like he had kind of a gay relationship with, in some type of way. But the point is to stay in the game, which that's why I also liked Kakihara better than Ichi, is because at least like he is a weird sadist, but at least first of all he's present of mind.
Yeah, he's not. He's I would say he's psychotic, but he's not like. I don't want. They're both too far gone. I don't even know what to say, but he's not as far gone as Ichi.
He's not a good person, but Ichi is like a fucking crazy, weird sex pervert, evil motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Kakiyara's evil too, but at least he's loyal to something.
Yeah, and he's kind of charismatic.
He's kind of charismatic.
Yeah.
He's handsome. He can dress. He's a fresh motherfucker.
Yeah.
But I also...
And Ichi's like school shooter incel type vibes.
Yeah. Like, but even worse.
Yeah.
Like,
but...
But Kakiyara kind of... what I like about that, and I'm going to get to the scene where actually the cool stuff happens in a minute, but what I kind of found I liked about him was... like, he's actually loyal to the boss. Like, much in the way that, like, a loved one wouldn't accept their loved one's death immediately. Like, usually when that happens, the police become suspicious of you. Like, if you're too quick to accept the death of somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he actually loved the boss in some, some twisted way, but he loved him. So he didn't want to give up on the idea of he's alive until he can prove that he's dead.
Yeah.
And he's also very loyal to the boss. He wants to stay in the gang so bad that he just takes scissors out, takes his tongue out.
Oh, he's a knife.
A knife.
A big-ass knife.
Is it not scissors?
No, he used a knife.
Oh, it is a knife.
He doesn't go like that.
It is a knife. Yeah. It is a knife. So, yeah, he takes a knife out and just kind of pushes it through his tongue.
Yeah. Which is one of the hardest scenes to watch in a movie.
To sever it.
Because it's very, like... It's not one of the moments of goofy violence.
It's very brutal violence.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because usually...
And the way his tongue cuts here, it feels, like, so real.
Yeah.
It doesn't just slice off. It's like... It goes and it takes a minute.
Yeah, it's like gamey or whatever. Yeah, it's not like
ugh.
it's not like
that's one of the hardest parts of the movie to watch for me.
Not a clean cut, I guess, whatever it is. But and that scene is fucking awesome because, I mean, it is cool just seeing that. Like, that's fucked up and weird and wacky. Yeah. But what made me laugh really hard
is how his reaction afterwards
is, like, first of all, that's hilarious. Like, that's great. Like, it's badass too. He cuts his tongue off. He gets a phone call. He answers it, and he's like, "Fuck you, yeah, I'll be there in a minute." And then what made me really laugh though is he puts the phone away, and then he walks past a bunch of Yakuza members, and they all just like jump and get the fuck out of his way. And I thought that was hilarious.
The Shigeru Miyamoto guy faints.
Yeah, the Shigeru Miyamoto guy drops to the ground. So that scene was awesome.
But yeah, like you say, he kind of has a code, which we see here, which makes him already a little bit better than Ichi.
That's what I'm saying. He has some loyalty,
yeah.
And he has some type of love for someone. Ichi doesn't seem to love anybody.
No.
He's just kind of... Well, that also boils down to, like, is he completely fucked in the head because of the brainwashing? Like, would he be exactly like this?
We don't know.
I don't know, yeah.
I think he did have some feelings for the prostitute who he kills later. Sailor.
Yeah, kinda.
But it's extremely fucked, which we were talking about. The reason I mentioned this, though, because, there's the character of Karen. We haven't gotten to her yet, either. Like I said, there's a lot of characters in this movie, and I think that's kind of a good way to break it up, just talking about each character. Because you can all interpret them a bit differently. But anyways, there's a scene where Karen is, we assume, we don't really know for sure, she's hypnotized by Gigi.
Right.
To believe that she was the girl who got raped and she passed.
There's a certain point where Gigi reveals to her that he can do that.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Would you brainwash me?" And he's like, "Never." And then she's seemingly brainwashed in the next scene.
Yeah.
That she's in.
Yeah, to believe that she's the girl from Ichi's past.
That, like we said, does not exist.
Yeah, it's not real, yeah.
Not a real memory, but he makes her think that memory she's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, during that scene where they end up, doing some stuff with each other.
They do shit.
And then Ichi gets extremely fucked idea of what was actually going on.
Well, because Ichi had revealed to Gigi his interpretation of that.
Yeah.
And then Gigi adds on to that.
I didn't think he kind of aped off what Ichi had told him he thought was going on from that dream.
Yeah, when he
didn't even think about that.
The girl.
Yeah, so he knew that would help get Ichi. Because at that point, Ichi didn't want to kill anymore, so he's like he had to do something to get him to go and kill Kakiyara.
Yeah, like we said, he keeps egging Ichi on.
Yeah, I didn't think about that though. That he fed off that one specific thing Ichi had told him. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because Ichi says she wanted me to rape her.
Yeah.
Which, okay, but, interesting.
No, but I didn't even think. I was like, oh yeah, he was playing up on that one thing.
Yeah.
That Ichi had told him. And it's funny, Gigi actually wanted to make it better when Ichi had told him about that. He was like, no, you wanted to save her, didn't you? Because I think that was the only... At first, the only thing it was that he was kind of playing off of was the bully thing. And like he says later, oh, maybe I went too far by adding the fucking rape. Because like you said, it complicated things.
Yeah.
If it was, things actually would probably be maybe cleaner. Like, he would still be a psychotic killer.
Maybe if he was just
if it was just the bully thing.
Maybe just the bullies like brutally beat him or something only.
But then you add a whole new dimension to it because of that one little thing. Well, it's not little, but you get what I mean. Which makes me... The fridge thing is... That was a great point. That was really a great point. It's relevant.
That's really interesting, too, because it reminds me of Audition in that way, too, where that's like... I don't think I'm reaching on the fridge thing. I think that's kind of...
No, I don't think you are. That was... And I didn't know about it, but I'm saying that's an interesting point. It's like, you add this, like, this deeply fucked thing just for, like, this character...
just for one motivation.
Yeah.
Like one motivational thing.
And then this is, like, a case of it going completely wrong.
But as far as, like, the director, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to me because that's not something that was, like, on people's minds in 2001. And also, the subject matter of Audition, kind of the whole Harvey deal.
Yeah.
Like that kind of gimmick.
Stuff, yeah.
That was not on people's minds in whatever that was, 1998 or whatever the fuck?
99, yeah.
So, those are both very forward-thinking themes.
They are. Thank you, Takashi Miike.
That is interesting.
Yeah, you're right. And, like, this was before the superhero craze or anything like that. Way before. This was even before Spider-Man 1. What year did Singer's X-Men go? I mean, it's not a fucking superhero movie, but that's what I always think of when it's, like, just because of the costumes and the wacky villain.
It does seem influenced...
The closest thing you can compare it to Batman, obviously, as far as superheroes go.
There's a bit of Batman, and there's a bit of Sentai, I think, too.
Yeah,
Or
definitely.
maybe some, like, anime in there.
Yeah. And then the Western thing that you're talking about... So I can get more into the character of Karen now, like you're talking about. She has this weird thing, which I mentioned to you. Well, yeah, when we were watching, you're like, why the fuck did she, like code switch? Like, she speaks Japanese, then she just breaks into speaking, like, English.
Yeah, it's like Spanglish, but with Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she just randomly speaks English.
Like, sentences in English.
Well, it's not Spanglish, because that's when I think you mix words in a sentence.
Yeah, this is just, like, she speaks Japanese.
She speaks a full sentence
say,
of each language.
Yeah. I think this might have something to do with... I don't really know, because, like, obviously I'm not Japanese, so I can't really fully speak to this. But it might be kind of a critique of, like, the westernization of Japan. I don't know. Tell me what you think. I really don't
fucking know either.
Because, like you said, the Western trope thing. Well, superheroes, obviously, that's a Western thing.
Yeah.
Sentai, though, that's an Eastern thing, though. But
Sentai is... it's like Sentai is born out of American culture.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, I don't know if it's just like a critique of like these Western sensibilities and like Western hyperviolence kind of like seeping into Japanese culture, and that's kind of like an aspect of it. I don't know.
I think so, because maybe that's what the because we were saying there's certain parts where the violence is very real, and certain parts where it's obviously, like, super heightened.
Yeah.
Like, does that relate to the Eastern-Western kind of difference?
I don't know. Good question, yeah.
I don't know. Because we were talking about this, I don't know if it was... I think it's definitely on purpose.
Well, which part?
The violence. Like, the...
Oh, yeah.
There's very distinctly two types of violence in the movie. So I can't nail down the purpose, but it's definitely, I think, it is deliberate. So
yeah, me too. But like I said, it's just, what does it exactly mean? I don't know. To this day, I still don't really know this movie.
The whole Eastern Western thing kind of sounds right to me.
I think that's part of the English.
Maybe just part of it.
Yes. With this.
Well, I mean the violence
character.
though.
Yeah.
But what you're saying about the language makes sense. And also, of course, she is the one, not the one, but she is someone that...
She's the one, bro.
She's the one. God, yes. But she does.
This actress actually is very attractive. I just want to say
She's
that.
a cutie pie. Yeah. She's a sweetie pie.
Um,
but she does align herself with
Kakihara's
Kakihara.
Yeah,
that's his name. Yeah. Sorry, I keep forgetting the names.
She used to be one of the boss's girlfriends, which we find out about. And then she's like, yeah, Kakihara, I want to be your woman now. And she becomes this Harley Quinn.
Does she die?
Yeah, Ichi kills her.
What does she die from?
Ichi fucking slices her throat.
A big blade to the face?
Yeah.
Or whatever?
He classic blade to the throat.
His classic heel blade to the head?
Yeah. During the time she's, like, brainwashed. Yeah. But anyways, that's what I think is going on with her. Yeah, she's an interesting character, I guess.
Little Harley.
Harley, yeah, that was funny. She was like, she becomes this Harley. I like that scene a lot though, where she's like trying to beat the shit out of Kakihara, and she's like, "You're just not the boss." He's like, "You're not the boss." You're just sad.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Is like why I feel like it was mutual between him and the boss. Because that was a very like he wasn't super uncomfortable. Like he had chains like around him.
Yeah,
like, he wasn't like hung up like
no. He was
like
just
the guy that was being
chains.
tortured. He was just like standing there.
Just some standard BDSM chains, you know. Just part of the look.
Purely aesthetic.
Yeah. I like that scene though. She's beating the shit out of him. He's like, "No, this is not good enough."
Who does he say that to? There's no love in your punches. He says it to the
guy you said who looks like Lupin.
The Lupin guy.
Yeah, one of Gigi's like men or whatever.
Goons.
Yeah, one of his goons.
I like that line.
Yeah, he says there's no love in your punches. And
because
he takes a big chomp of his fucking mouth. I mean, of his hand.
Because in Hellraiser, I compared it to Hellraiser earlier.
Yeah.
In Hellraiser, I feel like they don't do a great job. Because the whole idea is like, oh, in hell, like, pleasure and pain, you can't tell the difference. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah. That's a fucked movie. I just want to say.
Hellraiser?
I like it a lot, yeah. It's a good movie, but it is fucked.
I couldn't stomach the whole thing.
It's scary.
I never watched the whole thing, but I have watched, like, probably 18 hours about it of content.
Christ.
Not 18, but at least 4, I think. But my point is, I don't think they do a great job, and like I said, I haven't seen it, so fuck me, like I'm a poser.
I'll bring over the Blu-ray. We can watch it.
I've seen some of it, but like I said, I've never had the stomach to just sit through it. It's just not something that I'm like, I want to sit down and watch Hellraiser. Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird.
But Ichi the Killer, that's all good.
I don't know. Hellraiser feels too, like...
It's scarier.
It's like hell.
But this is way more graphic than
like, I don't want to watch hell. Is it really?
Yeah, definitely. They're both, like... fucked in different ways.
But anyways, like I said, I've heard a lot of analyzing about Hellraiser, and that line kind of tied things together more than I think I ever saw out of anything Hellraiser related. Like, there's no love in your punches.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good line.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. It like helps you, like, it makes sense. Like, there's not everyone kind of has an association with, like, pain and violence and, like, hatred.
Yeah.
Kakihara does not have that.
Yeah, also, just kind of going off that, the tagline of this movie, at least the ones I've seen for, like, you know, for English releases, is, like, "Love really hurts." So, that just reminded me of that, yeah. So, I don't know, exactly, like we said, the whole BDSM thing, that's part of it. What it's trying to get at, really, I don't really know.
I guess it could be speaking to like a like we were talking about, like the Western kind of sensibilities of like violence in media. I guess it could tie into that. Like it could tie into like where's the line?
Yeah, that's what you just said. Now, where's the line? I don't think the movie's like fully condoning violence in fucking movies, or I shouldn't say in real life, but like, or maybe in like a sexual manner. Like, if you're like, if you have two consenting adults participating in BDSM type activities, it's like, yeah, maybe that can be a way of expressing love, I guess. So I don't think it's fully condoning it. I mean, not condemning. I should be condemning. Not condoning. Yeah, it's definitely not condoning it, but it's also not condemning it. There you go.
It's a question.
Yeah, like you said, it's like, where's the line? I think that's a good way to put it. Because obviously Takashi Miike, he makes very violent movies, so obviously he's not against violence in media.
Yeah.
But it's like, you just kind of have to question it. Like, yeah, where's the line? And then at what point is it too far, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because like we were saying about the motivation.
Or maybe you should at least, like, question. Like, you shouldn't just blindly take the violence you're watching. At least question it a little bit.
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah, like we were saying about the superheroes, like, okay, Batman's beating the shit out of some dude, and okay, that's awesome, but maybe, yeah, you could think about, like, okay, well, maybe Batman's got some issues of his own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it also ties back to what I was saying about the fridge thing.
Yeah,
too.
yes.
Like, is that violence, like, does that really need to be in the story?
Yeah,
does that really have a place in this story?
Exactly.
Or are you just using, like, a cheap trick and just showing kids, like, a brutal, like, murder?
Yeah.
In a Green Lantern comic, you know?
Yeah. That makes sense.
We've
cracked the code.
We are geniuses.
Maybe we've cracked the code.
See, any movie, what are we at?
Hour 20 minutes.
Give us about an hour and a half. We'll crack it.
Yeah.
We'll crack the code.
Yeah, we already came up with. We already figured out the plot twist and everything with Batman, and just discussing it. We're like, oh, this is what's gonna happen.
No, but I guess that's what I would take away from it, and it's interesting too because I don't feel like that's a cheap read of the movie.
No, I don't.
Because Audition, I didn't even think about the violence. Like, obviously, the violence is like very in the forefront. Like, you think about it when you think of Audition.
But it's not like a theme.
But it wasn't a commentary on violence.
Yeah,
whereas this movie, and I think you can't help but read it that way at least a little bit, like we said, because of like kind of the two types of violence in the movie.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of have to consider that. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting film.
There's another character I do want to talk about.
The cop?
We haven't got to. Oh, yeah, we haven't talked about... So, yeah, I was going to say the kid.
Oh. Okay.
But we can talk about the cop, too. Yeah.
They are related.
Yeah, yeah, so the father and the son. The cop I don't really have too much to say about it. He's not a good guy. He definitely is not a good guy.
No.
I think he's, like, taking his job way too seriously. Which kind of makes sense, because, like, he kind of feels like a piece of shit after he lost his job as a cop. And he feels like he also owes his life to the boss, because he gave him a job after he lost his job as a cop. He's like, yeah, come work as a bodyguard for the gang. So you can kind of understand his loyalty. But he's, like, a terrible father to his son. And then his wife has left him. So nobody was really there to take care of his son. And we see later the son kind of befriends Ichi. Because Ichi, like, kicks one of his bullies in the chest for him. After they, like... What does he do? He, like, kicks down his bike,
Well,
right?
he doesn't even... It's not even for the kid.
No, it's for him.
It's because,
he
like...
He barely interacts with the kid at all. But the kid is, like...
It's Ichi's bike, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
the kid's just like, yay! Like, you know what I mean?
And it's just like this deeply fucked rapist guy.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know.
And he's like, yay, we're friends, right? You remember that?
And it's funny because that scene, like, it reminded me of like a twisted version of Batman Begins.
Yeah.
Like kind of like a, I don't know the word.
Yeah.
Not twisted. That's so stupid, but it's a twisted, dark version of the Dark Knight.
That meme. What's it? I'm not sick. I'm twisted.
There is no cure. No, but the my point is basically it reminds me of the scene in the Dark Knight where King Joffrey is his name King Joffrey?
Is that the same actor?
Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the same actor?
The kid.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Batman Begins, right?
Well, I said I haven't seen Batman Begins in like 10 years, so I don't remember.
Yeah. It's Joffrey.
Probably more than 10 years, honestly.
And he's like, the other kids won't believe me. And then he gives him a batarang.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that, I guess.
Yeah, but in this case, it's like bloodied, like, it's kind of like post-nut clarity Ichi, like after he kills. And he's kind of like hiding his face from the kid, and he's like, we're friends, right? And he kind of like goes up the stairwell.
Oh, when he's on the staircase, yeah.
And
but before that, though, he's just on his bike, and he like kicks that bully in the chest.
Oh, right, so...
The ones who are messing with the little kid.
But the scene we were talking about...
where he said we're friends, right? Yeah.
That's the part that reminds me of Batman Begins.
Yeah.
But the part where he first meets the kid is, he, like, literally, the kids are just like, why are you, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, they're bullying the kid, and then they go up to Ichi, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, why are you just staring off into space? Like, why are you just ignoring us? Because he's hitting, like the bully's hitting the little kid with the shoe.
Yeah.
And like looking at Ichi, like Ichi's not like looking. He won't look at them.
Yeah, he's just kind of like a crazy person just standing there staring off.
And then he like pushes over his bike to try and get his. He's like, "Hey, Mister, like what the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
And then he kicks. He like fucking.
He judo kicks him.
He judo kicks him, the bully in the chest, and like you said, like the fucking. He doesn't literally do this, but he like baby claps and like cheers. Like
the look, yeah, he's like happy. He's like,
it's so funny because it's like if a homeless like drug addict like saved you from a bully, and then you're like my hero.
Yeah,
yay.
no, but I think that's goes more to the violent thing. Like he's not really considering like, yeah, this dude's fucking insane. He just kicked a child in the chest.
Yeah,
like, he's like, yeah, like you know.
And it kind of it's feels like a deliberate kind of pointing towards that too, because Ichi never intervenes when the kid is getting bullied, and he doesn't make a conscious effort to help the kid or anything.
No, it was only when he was affected.
It was like once the kids like approach Ichi,
yeah,
and they start trying to touch him and stuff, he kicks him in the chest and goes away.
But he assumed that was like, oh, he was protecting me.
He was
yeah.
You protected me from the bully. He said something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then it kind of go more back into like the selfish motivations that you might not be necessarily paying attention to, of a hero in a movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
And that's
it's like painted very deliberately here, like you said.
That is really interesting too, because that reminds me of Watchmen.
You gotta speak more to Watchmen. It's been a long time.
Well, guess what, Andy? If you're listening, here's a treat for you.
Yeah, Andy just started reading Watchmen.
And our good friend Andy is reading Watchmen right now, the graphic novel. So what it reminds me of Watchmen is Watchmen. All the characters get, like your Batmans and your Supermans, your classic superheroes. They're motivated through altruism.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly guilt, but altruism. But in Watchmen, everyone has their own, like, way more human motivations.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Silk Spectre is kind of, like, forced into it through her mom.
Her mom, right, yeah.
Night Owl is kind of... I don't know if it's his motivation. I can't really speak to, like, the whole of Watchmen. But I know towards the end, it's like, it gives him a sense of confidence, being a superhero. So, it kind of reminds me of that. Like, stripping away the standard, stripping away the standard great power, great responsibility thing. Like, no one actually, it's sad to say, but I do believe this. I don't think anyone does anything out of a sense of duty.
Yeah, you're probably no.
I just don't think so. There's something else.
Yeah.
If that's there at the bare minimum, there's also something else.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll rephrase it. No one does anything solely through a sense of duty. Like it's it's never only that. So.
No, we'd be living in a utopian society if that was the case. Yeah.
Imagine. And I used to do that for this is interesting. Here's a little peek into Dilly's mind.
Oh, okay.
I used to do that for no reason.
What do you mean?
Like, when I would play... Okay, this is a stupid example. But I would do the right thing because I think... This is like Ichi's logic. Which is weird because it ties to the superhero thing. It's fucking crazy. Takashi Mike is a genius. Or whoever wrote the comic is...
Takashi Miike, bro.
Mike. You're gonna put your movie on my state? In my state, you're gonna speak my language. No, okay, so either him or the guy who wrote the comic is a fucking genius. Because what does Ichi say? He's like, you wanted me to do it because you didn't want me to do it.
Yeah.
Or like vice versa, whatever. And I used to do that.
Okay.
Like in a video game. So keep in mind what I just said.
Yes.
That's what Ichi says. If you haven't seen the movie, it might be hard to remember all this shit. I don't know. I'm sorry. But it's a very interesting conversation, Evan.
You should definitely watch a movie before you listen to this.
Please watch the fucking movie. You really should for every episode.
Yes.
You really should.
It's like your homework.
No, I want to say this. I'm going to go off on a double tangent.
We never do non-spoiler reviews. So, yeah.
No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We didn't even do that for Uncharted.
Yeah.
And then we spent like 10 minutes on that. But I'm really bad about that. Like I said about Hellraiser, I've seen like part of Hellraiser on Spike TV or some shit, but I've never watched like all of it. But
I'll bring over the Blu-ray.
I have seen like 4 hours plus like analyzing it.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the last episode.
I'm very bad about that. So I encourage you, don't be like me, because there's like, whenever you do that, no matter what it is, you're missing out. Like,
yeah, I agree.
If you're interested in it or whatever.
I agree.
So what I wanted to mention, my point was, when I was a kid and I was playing like multiplayer games online, I would be nice to people.
Nothing wrong with that.
Because I think it boils down to that's not what they expected. I was like, oh, well, everyone does, like, it was a game, I don't want to get into the specifics, but it was basically a game where you're all survivors, and you have to get materials, and you can choose to team up with people, or you can choose to kill them and take their stuff, and I would always be nice to people.
Was it Bat Night?
No.
Okay.
It was not Bat Night. Don't Google that. But yeah, it was like a survivor game. You could choose to help or hurt people. Most people would just kill you. Some people wouldn't. If I saw someone with like, because there were really annoying players that they saw you with like nothing, and they would just kill you.
Of course.
Like for no gain.
Yeah.
Like for 0 gain, they would just kill you.
Just to be an asshole.
Yeah, just be an asshole. But, you know, I would have like great equipment and stuff, and I'd be like, oh, here's some food, and just like drop it and just fuck off.
What a good guy.
But that's the thing though, is the reasoning felt like Ichi. You don't want me to do this, so you want me to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, but you're kind of funny, like, that comparison.
It's just interesting to me, too, because that speaks to a more real world logic.
Yeah.
Than, like, other superhero stuff.
Yeah.
I guess. Like, I buy that. And plus the fact that he's brainwashed, right? He has no... He's not like, what's the villain's name?
Kakihara.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He's not like Kakihara. Because Ichi, he doesn't really have a choice.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have any baggage that's, like, informing his decision.
Because all his memories are fake, yeah.
Yeah, he's like an old superhero.
Yeah.
Where he has no real motivation. Like, it's just like a paper-thin brainwashing. And he just thinks that, like, you don't want me to do it, so you want me to do it. Right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, that makes sense, yeah.
Which is what a fucking lunatic or a child would think.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And that's what the kid was, like we were saying, the kid's like, oh my god, he saved my life, or whatever.
Yeah, and then the kid interprets that
Yeah.
as a fucking superhero.
Yeah.
Or at least the protector or something.
Yeah.
Or friend.
And then at the end, he kind of has that reality shattered after Ichi kills the cop.
His father.
Yeah, because he, like, gets pissed off and starts, like, kicking the crying Ichi on the ground. And so I guess, yeah, talking about him, we had to talk about the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
First, before we get into that, though, so Kakihara, he's like, he gives up in that ending we have been talking about earlier. He's like, well, this whole Ichi thing was a letdown, so I'm just going to kill myself. And he, like, puts the needles that he has in his, like, eardrums. Very disturbing part. Because we were talking about, like, the way the sound goes.
Yeah, that's
It's very
awesome.
realistic. I think, well, I like to think. I've never had my eardrums fucking penetrated by a needle, but it's like, you remember, like, the staticky right before you go deaf? That seems like that's, like, what would actually happen.
What did I say when it happened?
I forgot what you called it.
I described it some way, but the sound design is good. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like something that would actually happen.
Yeah.
I do want to get into the aesthetics of the movie a bit, which we can talk about before our cool fan casting.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, stick around for that.
Yeah,
Stick around for that. We saved that for the end because that's the cool part. Anyways, yeah, that part's like, it seems real. Like, if you actually, like, fucking stab your eardrum, that seems like maybe that's what it would sound like.
And yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, basically, we're talking about the way the sound design kind of bleeds the music, or not the music, the sound out of the. So you kind of get his perspective of, like, exploding his eardrums.
Yeah. And then the vision change also.
And yeah, and then when it switches, it kind of has a blue filter.
Yeah.
And that's why immediately I was like, this isn't real.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what stabbing your brain is like either, but maybe.
Well, I think
he probably has some vision distortion.
I think he died pretty soon after he did that. Right?
Yeah, right after when he jumps off the building.
I don't think he jumped off.
Well, he fell off.
I think he probably like stabbed himself in the ears and then fell backwards.
Yeah, something like that.
But
he has this like, I don't want to call it a dream sequence, but I don't know what to call it.
Fantasy.
Yeah, some kind of fantasy where he gets what he wanted. So we see Ichi killed the kid, and then comes and fucking like slicing Kakiara in the head.
Oh yeah, because the kid, Ichi basically kills the cop, which is the kid's father.
Yeah.
And then Ichi has a breakdown and starts crying on the ground, and the kid's kicking him.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, just the visual was very striking of the fantasy, where it switches to the fantasy, and he's holding the kid's severed head,
Yeah.
Ichi, and then he's gonna go mutilate,
Kakiara.
Man.
And this scene is, like, really funny, where he, like, gets a slice of... He gets, like, the slice in the head, and then he, like, goes flying and jumps off the building. Well, he doesn't jump off, he, like, falls off.
He gets kicked off or something, right?
Yeah, Ichi slices him in the head first, and then, like, kicks him or whatever, and he goes on the rails and then falls off. And he's like, oh my god, this is amazing, and he says, Ichi, and then he falls off. But more Dark Knight imagery right there, just the whole building thing.
Yeah, so
that's interesting.
That's very Dark Knight, is like he's standing on the ledge kind of flailing his arms to try and get his balance or whatever.
But Joker lives, unlike Kakiara.
Sadly.
Joker should have died. But the actor lived, and Heath Ledger did not. The actor in Ichi lived, Heath Ledger did not. So, you know, a little switch around there. That's fucked up, I'm sorry.
It's like poetry.
It's like poetry.
God rest his soul.
But yeah, he's like, Ichi! Like, screaming in pleasure, and he falls and dies.
It is kind of... His fantasy's a little, like, disappointing, though.
Yeah, because all he gets is, like, a slice in the head, and then falls off a building.
Because, literally, like, fucking... Earlier in the movie, right? Like, Ichi's ready to go kill some people.
Mm-hmm.
And the camera stays in the hallway. Ichi enters, we don't go with him.
Oh, yeah.
And then fucking blood flies out of the room like a blender. Like an open blender. And it just fucking gore just flies out of the...
And we see some dudes just flying out, too. Like, they got thrown out.
Yeah, so it's like... Like, he just gets a dent in his head and falls off. I don't know, it's kind of... Like, is that really...
It doesn't seem like that's what you've been waiting for, but whatever.
But
it's his fantasy, bro.
It gets the point across.
It's his fantasy, bro. Don't judge him.
Yeah, because it's like, you could have just jumped off the building yourself. Like, there's not too much more to it.
Yeah. At that point, I guess anything.
And what he did to himself was, like, way more brutal than his fantasy.
Well, we know. Whatever floats your boat. But anyways, yeah, so he falls off. And then we see, the cut in his head is actually there, so we know for sure
that was a
fantasy. And it's funny, Gigi, like, sees him, and he moves the hair like he was expecting the cut to be there. And then I guess he kind of realizes that he killed himself. It wasn't Ichi, because he doesn't see any damage.
Oh, he doesn't see any, like, of Ichi's classic boot blade.
Yeah. And he kind of has a weird reaction. He's like, he looks like he's going to start crying. I don't know.
Maybe because maybe he realized his
failed.
His plan failed or something.
So I don't know. This is the very end of the movie though, and then we see the kid still just kicking him, and then we get some kind of flash forward, I guess, the very last shot in the movie, where we see what I assume is Gigi hanging from a tree.
Okay, so you think that's Gigi?
I'm pretty sure it's him. It must be him. He's wearing the same outfit.
Oh, okay.
And then we see group of children walking by, and they're just like, what the fuck? And the teacher's trying to get them not to look.
Right.
And then we see an Ichi-esque figure, I guess you could say. It's not Ichi, but it's someone who looks and kind of like Ichi. Has the same demeanor, I guess you could say. And I'm assuming at least, it's the kid. Especially with the bird also, because the bird flies. And we see later, earlier in the movie, he's playing with the bird.
Oh.
Like the crow. You remember?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Where he's making the sound, caca or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then the bird flies by him at the end, which I think is a little
hint that is him.
Yeah. Which is weird. So, what the very ending of the movie complicates things further, because I really have no fucking idea what it means.
Perpetuating, toxic
Yeah, I assume there's, a cyclical thing that's part of it.
Yeah.
And in this case, the kid actually did have some kind of, tragic, fucked up shit happen. It's not a made-up memory.
Yeah, it's not, a made-up origin story.
Yeah, which is, I don't know, it's maybe Gigi killing himself is, the death of the fantasy. I don't know. That sounds stupid, but you know what I mean?
I kinda...
It's like his plan failed, and now it's like become reality. Like he actually, like this kid actually went through some shit. He was bullied. He saw his father murdered right in front of him.
By the man he thought was like his friend or whatever. Uh-huh.
So maybe you could see Gigi killing himself as like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know if death of the fantasy is a good way to put it, but do you get what I'm trying to get at?
I do. I don't know what the fuck to make of that.
Yeah, it's weird.
No, because I didn't know what the fuck was going on at the end. Because you were like, "Oh, we'll talk about it." Yeah. So I was like, "Okay," and I like did not understand that. But what you're saying makes sense. I think that's definitely Gigi.
Yeah.
That's probably the kid.
It has to be, right? Who the fuck else would it be?
Yeah, who the fuck else would it be? I don't know.
So there's an aspect of like cyclical violence, I guess you could say. We don't know if he's like a psychotic killer now, but
like you said, he's kind of posed like Itchy.
Yeah. So I don't know. And then Gigi's death, like we said, maybe it's not meant to be taken entirely literally. Like, could just be read in an allegorical sense, which is interesting. I'm saying that because that was also what I was saying when we did the audition review in a different context. Obviously, I was like, I don't think this is completely meant to be taken at 100% face value. Like it might not even be like reality, even though it like you get what I'm saying.
At least
I was saying a very similar thing in audition.
You're saying, but for this movie, you're just saying that very last part.
Yeah,
with the tree. Yeah, because I can see that. That's definitely more up for interpretation. I feel like the rest of the movie is like pretty cut and dry, though.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a ton of. I mean, I think there's some meaning in there, but I don't think it's like super allegorical. Or or metaphorical. I don't know the right word, but
that's what I mean, though, because like I was saying this similar thing in audition, where it's like towards the end it just gets kind of like completely allegorical. You know what I mean? It's like you can't really take it at face value, and I think it's a similar thing going on here.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man. So I guess if you had to put a pin on it, Evan, I'm gonna force your hand. Well, not end the episode yet. We don't have to quite end it.
Cool. We haven't gotten to our cool fan casting yet.
I'm saying,
stick around.
I'm saying like if you had to put a pin in it is the wrong phrase. If you had to like hone in on something for the ending, what would you say it means?
Like just that very ending?
Yeah, the hanging.
Yeah. Like I was saying, I think it's just like like. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's like. I don't know. Maybe this is reading like.
No, go ahead.
Please. Just like I was saying about the death of the fantasy thing. It's like okay, everything that was happening with Ichi. It was real, but I mean, like, the memories and everything, they were fake. But for the kid, it all becomes real. So maybe it's like, taking this quote-unquote fake violence you see, even though it's real. You get what I'm saying? Like, taking something you see is fake and then maybe it affecting the real world. I don't know if what I'm saying right now makes any sense.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like
in that sense, the whole movie kind of becomes completely allegorical.
Yeah. Because kind of... What you're saying is, like I said, if his name's Gigi, right?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been saying it that way the whole time, like Gi. I don't know if that's fucking.
Yeah. That's what they say in the movie, at least.
If Gigi is the writer.
Yeah, it's. Oh no, the right. Yeah, it's like almost like he's writing the sick fucking action movie. You know what I'm saying?
And then like. It's kind of the ending is like, it has an effect on real people.
Yes.
That's basically what you're writing has an effect on real people.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
That's a good conclusion.
And then, like I said, in that way, the whole movie kind of becomes allegorical. You can't really take it at face value.
Well, we kind of just, you're contradicting what I just said, but that's fine. We can go. That's fine. I'm joking. Because right before we started talking about this. I was like, well, this one's more cut and dry.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm seriously, I agree with what you're saying, though, but I'll just throw out my statement previous. That makes sense.
Yeah, I had never thought about it like that until We talked about it just now.
Well, because I thought if I pressed you, you probably have something.
Which is why I like talking about. I always like talking about movies like this, where I'm like, I don't really fully know. When we have like a conversation about it, things start to make more sense.
Yeah, when you talk it out.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't force myself to think about that movie, I would have probably just like if let's just say you were like, dude, watch Ichi the Killer. Like we don't have a podcast, but we're friends. Go watch Ichi the Killer, and I would watch it, and I'd message you like, oh, the tongue thing was weird.
And that'd be the end.
And then I'd go to sleep and it'd be like, gee, that was a weird movie. Gotta remember.
Pretty much.
Gotta remember to give Evan's Blu-ray back.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Which I say is why I like doing this.
Yeah, because I actually, like I said about the audition thing, I do think I like the movie more now.
Yeah.
So.
But the way you said it, that he's like the writer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't really think about it like that at all. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Ichi the Killer.
Well, that's Ichi the Killer.
There you go.
3 out of 3 stars.
Think about the violence you're consuming. There you go.
Yeah, actually give your fucking life a thought every once in a while, you fucking idiots.
For real. JK, don't say that about our fucking 53 subscribers.
Well, I was talking about the other ones.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking about the unsubscribed
Yeah.
Characters.
You become smart once you sub to RNS podcast.
Yeah, if you... I mean, I'm just saying, if you have the foresight and the fucking fortitude to, like, subscribe to us, you probably have more than enough brain cells kicking around to understand this kind of content.
For real,
so
yeah, of course.
That's just my thoughts on the matter.
But yeah, you give it your classic 3 out of 3?
I give it my classic 3 out of 3.
Interesting, because before you said 2 out of 3, but you also mentioned you're like, I think we have to talk about it first, and we did.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
For me, it's like a 10 out of 10. I really like this movie a lot.
Good movie.
Yeah, it is. I personally like it more than Audition. I totally understand why you like Audition more. Like, they're both great films, so yeah.
I mean, there's some humor in Audition as well. It's not a humorless movie.
It's more humor, but like
subtle.
It's like in the character interactions and stuff like that. Like him with his friend and stuff like that. Like, oh, it's kind of funny. Some of their dialogue, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. More subtle. Yeah.
This one, there was a couple times where I was like, all right. Like, there was a couple times, like I was saying, where that one scene where he walks in on the rape, and he actually goes inside that time, and the guy's like just staring at him and like mad at him, and he's like starting to cry. I was like, all right, like
that was too much for you.
Yeah, man, it's not like the violence or anything, but that scene was weird.
Yeah, it was.
It was weird.
Well, you know, Ichi, he's a sick fuck, like we said, so.
Yeah. I do really appreciate though, like, it's hard to fucking make up a character like that. I don't know if you can credit the director or maybe the writer of the comic or, well, I mean, probably the actor and all of them really deserve some credit. But the point is, that is a nutty fucking character to make up.
He is, yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Dylan. Yeah, I wasn't sure, honestly. I was like, yeah, I know Dylan liked Audition, but I don't know if he'll like this.
I always have a good time. But Audition, I think, Audition is like a Best Picture movie.
Damn. It is a great, it's fucking
I mean, not like in the real world sense.
Oh, but in the epic sense.
In the
big-brained RNS subscriber sense.
In the real nerd shit kind of way where we're going to tell it to you straight.
Yeah. Of course. Audition is amazing. I love that movie. So now we can get into the fun stuff. Actually, no, right before we get into our cool fan casting, I do want to say, I just also love the aesthetics of this movie.
Oh, we didn't talk about that.
I really like that a lot. It's like there's this weird kind of like contrast between like how the city looks, I guess, and like the characters. It's like the characters are kind of colorful and the city kind of like gritty.
Or like drab, baby.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially Kakihara, like his outfits always stand out.
I think that's definitely they put him. I feel like almost the locations and like the set design was like made to compliment him in some cases. Yeah, that makes sense.
Or the scene where he cuts out his tongue, you see like the big, like, I don't know if it's like a fish tank, but there's like some kind of big red, like, I don't know what it is behind him.
There's something in there.
I don't know if you know exactly what I'm talking about, but it looks really nice. So
there's something that like behind him that like breaks up the room.
Yeah.
It's not like a wall, but it's like something.
And it's like a bright red.
Yeah.
And, oh no, it looks really nice. So there's like a lot of like that contrast throughout the movie, like, certain colors really pop because, like I said, the sets, they like really help complement like some of the colors. And I like that a lot. I appreciate that. The music is also great. I really like the music.
Didn't notice the music.
I know we've talked about it before, so usually, Dylan might not.
I never think about the fucking music.
The music in this, though, it has one of my favorite movie scores because it's like video game music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like
synth or something?
It's not like synth, but it's like I don't even know really how to describe it.
K-pop?
No, yeah,
J-pop?
It's K-pop. No, it's not J. It just sounds like video game music to me. It's like kind of electronic-y a little bit, but not electronic-y. It's like
a PS2 action game kind of music?
Something like that, yeah.
Like, not like 8-bit, but like...
Yes.
Something that would be in a video game.
Like, ironically, he's playing Tekken, Ichi, and playing it, he's barely doing shit, but something like that you hear in, like, Tekken or something like that, like a Japanese fighting game.
I did kind of want to talk about the Tekken thing.
Yeah.
Very briefly.
Well, it's there for a reason, you know?
Yeah,
RNS, we never... There's no such thing as looking too deep into something. No,
that doesn't happen, especially when it's an MCU movie.
Yeah.
No, but I thought that was interesting because, well, first of all, the first time we see him, like, quote unquote, playing it, he's asleep, and
I don't think he's asleep. He's just like not present.
He's either asleep or like like you said, not present.
Yeah,
like he's not. He's like what's the word? Like spaced out.
Yeah.
Kind of with his face on the floor, right?
Mm-hmm. He's just like staring down, and the video game's like in the background.
Yeah.
His character getting the shit beat out of
him.
him.
And his character's getting the shit beat out of him. And then later, he's just jamming the fucking square button. Mindlessly. Uh-huh. And then...
Mindless violence?
Gigi just turns off the video game, and then it goes to the news cycle?
Yeah.
The 24-hour news cycle? The lamestream media? I don't know. So I thought that was interesting. And I also thought it was interesting that, like... The only thing we really see him doing in his free time is, like, the mindless violence thing.
Yeah.
But in a video game? Like, he needs it or something? I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, nothing too
both
crazy.
Times, in Tekken, both times...
It is Tekken both times, yeah. PS2.
Yeah, PS2 Tekken.
Classic.
Smash Bros. Tekken...
what if he was playing Smash?
That would be like so much. It would be way sillier.
That would ruin the movie.
Yeah. That'd be way. I feel like Tekken's like that was a good choice. Yeah.
It's not Street Fighter. Yeah. It's not Mortal Kombat.
It was a good choice.
Tekken is like.
Yeah.
It's like there's a fighting game in the background. You don't. Yeah, Tekken's not distracting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Street Fighter, Smash Bros, whatever.
It kind of fits with the aesthetic of the movie. I think.
That too, because it's kind of like somewhat realistic looking for the time. Tekken, it fits.
And you're right. I feel like if it was like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, both of those are way too distracting.
Yeah.
Honestly, so you have a point there. Yeah.
Yeah, Tekken almost feels like a made-up game.
Yeah.
That would just be in the background of a movie. So yeah, I'm sorry I undercut your cool point.
Oh, I know. Oh, the music. Yeah, but no, the way you rob Tekken, that's interesting. Yeah, it's like something that would be like playing in Tekken or something like that. That's kind of what the score for the movie is. And I remember when I had first seen the movie, that was like actually like the first thing that had really stood out to me.
The music?
The very first time I had seen the movie, yeah, I was like, oh, the music is really great in this.
I fucking... Literally, if you asked me... Now, Dylan, was there music in this movie? I'd be like, no?
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't fucking tell you.
That's interesting, though. It's like, like I said, when the first time I seen it, that was like one of the things that like really stood out to me, so... Just goes to show me we sometimes pay attention to different things.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What was... Can you tell me a key moment where you noticed the music? Where it stood out or enhanced the scene for you or something like that?
Well, the scene at the very beginning when Kakihara's in the
he's leering?
apartment. No, when he's in the apartment, like when the first time you meet him.
Oh, Kakihara, right.
Yeah, it has like this really like upbeat, exciting like music that's like kind of quick. I'm sorry, I'm not a music person, so like describing music for me is like terrible.
You're no Anthony
me and Dylan
Fantana.
have talked about this before, how we were like we can never review music on RNS because neither of us I don't think really know shit about like
especially not fucking me.
Yeah.
But
well, no, me either. Like about like what goes behind making music or like anything about music theory. I don't know shit about that, so I couldn't like we couldn't do this for like an album. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyways, yes, like that kind of music playing there, and there's also in one of the scenes where
what is Kakihara doing when he's revealed? What is he doing?
He's like smoking the cigarette.
He's
looking like in the area where the boss is like.
Oh, he's okay
in the apartment or the hotel, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's another scene where it's like, there's this very specific piece of music that plays, and it's when Gigi's like talking to Ichi. I think it's when he's saying, "I don't want to do this anymore." It might be that or in another part. It's just one of the scenes where he's talking to Ichi. I don't know how to describe it, but I really like that piece of music a lot.
Cool.
So yeah, there you go.
Oh, cool. I was interested because I literally fucking didn't notice. So I was curious when it was noticeable for you.
And some of the editing in this movie I really like it a lot too. It's like very quick pace, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was good editing. One thing, can we rewind it all the way back? Mm-hmm. Let's rewind it all the way back to the beginning of the episode, right?
Yes.
Terrible editing in Uncharted.
Oh yeah. I remember that one cut you were talking about. It was just so. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I do. There was one part where basically Tom Holland jumps through like a hole in the wall that closes back up.
Yeah.
He jumps like it's like a decent like whatever like it's fine action scene, and then he escapes by jumping through a closing hole in the wall. And then like a goon starts like banging on the wall like, "Oh, you got away!" And then like it takes like 2 beats, and then he's just laying on the ground like he just landed like. Oh geez, like these guys are nutty. Like that was the worst fucking editing I've seen.
It was really bad.
Just cut out the line and have him land on time with it or something. Jesus Christ. Or cut out the guy banging on the wall or whatever it was. It was fucking terrible. But anyway.
It was like too jarring.
It was like there was no I don't know.
It didn't flow well.
Like not rhythm.
I think it's kind of a good way to put it.
But I think like once you jump through the wall, you don't want to see him like reacting to that like several seconds later.
Yeah.
Like you need to see him land in both scenarios because you're spending too much time in the previous area.
It just didn't work.
Now you're supposed to be inside. Yeah. So anyways, we all know Uncharted sucks, so we don't have to spend too much time on that. But yeah, the editing was bad. The fucking action was bad. Everything was bad in that fucking movie.
Anything you want to talk about as far as like aesthetic wise for Ichi that you really liked?
Fucking, Kakiyara was cool.
I think all the costumes in the movie were actually really cool.
Nothing really stood out to me, except for him.
I liked her outfit too. Some of the outfits she was wearing look cool. I actually do like Ichi's costume a lot.
Karen?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I like Ichi's costume a lot too.
I wouldn't say I like it a lot.
I fuck with it.
I like the
I like the big bright yellow.
It looked cool. The way
I mean the big bright yellow one.
The big yellow one.
Yeah.
His classic Ichi the Killer's classic yellow one. Dude, Momocon?
Oh, that'd be sick.
Momocon, Ichi?
I had to get a biker suit and then just paint the one on the back.
I would never fucking dress as Ichi.
No, that's disturbing.
I would that's what I'm saying too, Kakiyara, like he's more human.
Yeah.
Like
He's
Ichi's
a fashion
so
god.
fucking scary. Like Ichi's like an incel and Kakiyara's like a Chad. I don't know.
Yeah, Kakiyara definitely fucks.
Yeah.
And Ichi does not.
Yeah, that is evident. No, but the aesthetics though, I did like the effect of like the blade coming out of his heel or his boot.
It's so goofy.
It's
but it's cool.
It's the weirdest fucking thing.
It is.
I don't know why, like I guess like stand out. Like maybe it was in the comic and he was like, what's something I can do that's different? Like,
yeah.
But in the movie it plays in such a weird way.
Yeah. We don't even know how it comes out. Like
it just kind of comes out.
Yeah, like does he like I don't know.
There's one part where
there's a cool little switch that he toe steps on.
Yeah, he has a big toe switch or something. But I know there's one part where he stomps and it comes out. And there's another part where he's just standing there and it comes out.
with the pimp.
Yeah.
He just comes out.
Yeah, so I don't.
He has a cool big toe.
Yeah, he must have a big toe lever. I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, that's funny.
There's a cool blowjob scene.
Oh yeah.
A disturbing blowjob scene in this and Audition.
Yeah, there is.
That's interesting.
They're actually both of them blowjob scenes are shot very similarly. So there you go. If you want that's a cool.
If you want scary Asian blowjobs in your movie,
just watch your movie. No, I'm gonna say you want a distinct McKay filmmaking feature. It's cool blowjob scenes that are filmed like that.
There you go. Cool,
anyways,
cool violence, needles.
Cool needles.
Needles going in your head.
Yeah. Needles going in your head.
There's actually 2 needles in the heads guys in this movie.
Yeah.
Remember when he's like playing darts with the guy's head?
Yeah.
He's throwing his needles, and then he does it to himself too.
Okay. That was kind of Joker-esque, except with the needles until like the knives.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that too.
The way he pulls out the needles when him and Ichi are gonna fight at the end.
It's like Loki.
Yeah. That was funny to me. Anyways, Dylan, are you ready? Do you want to get into our fan casting for Ichi the Killer?
Oh yeah.
And there's one character we haven't decided on for their casting, so we'll have to decide here live on air.
Oh crap.
Well, at least one of the major characters. I'm sure there's a few minor characters we didn't decide on. Yes. Oh yeah, we didn't decide on Karen actually.
Ana de Armas.
Yeah. That seems that kind of fits with the casting we were going for. So there you go. Number 1, Ana de Armas and Karen. Well, let me talk about how this even came to be our fan cast. When we were watching it, Dylan was like, "Yeah, that guy reminds me of Josh Brolin,
the cop, the ex-cop."
Yeah, the ex-cop. And then we were like, yeah, if they ever did a Western American remake of Ichi the Killer, Josh Brolin could play him. And then we started kind of just fan casting the characters, and we decided that Denis Villeneuve would direct the fucking Ichi the Killer.
I don't know if we decided that. I think you decided that.
But it fit with the cast that we were building.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's true.
We decided there's a Warner Brothers distributed.
The Warner Brothers Ichi the Killer
with Denis Villeneuve.
2023.
So yeah, Ichi, we decided. What Dylan picked on this fan casting, I'm like, okay, yeah, Ansel Elgort as Ichi.
It was the first one that came to mind. Like, I tried to think, like, who's kind of a younger guy that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I was like, Ansel Elgort, he works.
He could do, like, Incel-y.
Yeah, so Ansel Elgort for you. He'll play Ichi. I was like, that works. So we just talked about Kaneko, the cop there. It's cop Josh Brolin. I think that's pretty fitting.
I think it's fitting, like, in the type of characters he might play. Like, he kind of plays a character like that in Inherent Vice.
Yeah, I don't remember who he was in Inherent Vice.
I
haven't seen that movie in a long time. The only thing I remember about it is that I didn't like it.
He was a cop. He was at least, like, an FBI guy.
Yeah, and even No Country for Old Men, if you've seen that. He's not like a villain, but he's not a good guy either.
Is he in that?
Yeah.
What does he do?
He's the guy that Javier Bardem is looking for because he took the money or whatever.
Oh, okay. He's like the main guy.
Kind of.
Well, aside from fucking Chaos himself and
Javier Bardem
and the other guy, the older guy.
Oh, Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, they're like the 3 main characters.
Yeah, he's the third guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So yeah, Josh Brolin.
He's a Josh Brolin-esque.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Yeah, you could fit him in there. And then I said also, like, the nice guy, the guy who was like the nicest guy in the movie, like the guy that was just kind of a bodyguard.
Oh, who did you say is him? I said Dave Bautista.
So I don't think Dave Bautista works, but the guy who plays like Saul Goodman's muscle in Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah.
That guy.
That could work too.
I think that's solid. That works.
Yeah.
Because he kind of like, he seems like a gruff kind of guy, but like he wouldn't be too happy about evil shit going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. So epic casting on that.
Yeah, Karen Ana de Armas. There you go.
That one is pulled out of my ass.
But it works. We can go with her.
It works.
And instead of she'll go between Spanish and English instead of Japanese, and even though that completely like. No, that makes sense for American remake. They would completely miss the point and just put some stupid bullshit.
They wouldn't even try and adapt the meaning.
You know what I mean?
They'd just be like, well, she speaks Spanish.
Yeah. You know what I mean? They were like, oh, the westernization thing. But in this, they were just like, oh, she's switching between languages.
Oh, well, we need to... Yeah, it's just like, she speaks languages in that one. She has to do it in this one.
Yeah, that's what they would do.
That's funny.
So there you go.
That's true.
So, good choice. Ana de Armas.
That's true, man.
Oh. The, what's it called? David Dastmalchian as the guy who you said looks like Lupin.
The Lupin guy?
Yeah, the guy who gets his hand bit off by Kakihara, or gets his hand skinned by Kakihara's fucking big mouth. David Dastmalchian. I feel like that's pretty on point. Like, he can play him, I think.
It's pretty good.
I think he can play him.
I would still want him to look like Lupin, but that's okay.
Yeah, but this isn't the American.
He can have, like, the Lupin haircut.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Which he kind of has in, well... No, not really. I'll guess Blade Runner 2049, but it's like more of a shaved buzz cut. But something along those lines, you know what I mean? David Dastmalchian as that guy. Who should be cast as the other dude?
Who's the other dude?
Who works on their team? Who gets like the needles? Who had the plastic surgery?
Kevin James.
Kevin James. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, honestly. But we need someone a bit more serious than Kevin James.
Okay.
Jack Black.
No, not Jack Black. I was gonna say John Goodman.
Jonah Hill?
I was gonna say John Goodman.
John Goodman.
He's too old though.
He's too old though. Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill works.
Yeah, he is a bit Jonah Hill-esque.
Yeah, and he's doing a little more dramatic now.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill works.
Yeah, Jonah Hill.
Lock him in.
Jonah Hill's that guy.
We'll send you a check in the mail.
The big one we didn't decide on was Kakihara.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is.
Really
tough.
You know what? Perfect.
Who?
Evan Peters.
Evan Peters?
Evan Peters.
No.
Evan Peters.
No, he needs to be a little older.
Evan Peters.
I'm thinking like, not Ryan Gosling. I don't think Ryan Gosling would be good for it, but someone along those lines.
Evan Peters would sell.
Maybe he'd sell, but I don't think he would be. No, I just can't see it.
Well, we're not casting this to be good.
Well, you're right. You have a point. We just made that point with Ana de Armas. Not knocking her as an actress, but like the whole missing the point thing.
But Evan Peters,
she's a
like,
good actress. I like her.
that fucking... This character is so, like...
It does feed into his fan base.
American Horror Story.
Yeah. In that aspect, I think you're right.
I think I nailed it.
But the Denny thing, I'm like, he would
work with Evan
would cast
Peters.
someone a bit more well respected.
The rest of it is kind of like in line with he would maybe work with them, but I don't think he would.
Could probably work
I don't
with
think
Evan
Denny would
Peters.
direct this fucking movie though.
Yeah, you have a point.
But if let's say WB has like his flight logs.
This is their to-go list for real.
They're blackmailing him. They have his flight logs.
Oh yeah.
And so he's forced to. They're like, well, but you can cast it.
Yeah.
So, who? Do you have any other ideas for Kakihara?
I don't know why I keep thinking Ryan Gosling.
I don't think that's good.
I fuck with it.
I don't.
And he never really does a villain, so that would be interesting.
I don't think he fits.
But yeah, that's the only thing. It's like I think it, but he's not. Maybe Jake Gyllenhaal. If he like dyed his hair blonde, I think he would do better than Ryan Gosling.
Jake Gyllenhaal fits better.
If he like dyed his hair blonde.
Because like I'm thinking of like Ryan Gosling.
I think he's like too heroic. He's like he has the hero role to like nail down.
He does.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking was, it reminds me of like what's his name?
Yeah, I'm going with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay, he can do it.
But Evan Peters, I see more into your life than that.
That's not
especially
bad.
with the feeding into his fan base thing.
Yeah,
They would like him as a character.
And plus, couldn't you?
Because they like him at the fucking school shooter in American Horror Story. So you know.
I mean, he's played like fucking 5 characters like that, like a serial killer, school shooter, cult leader. He's in like every season.
So yeah, that's actually not bad. That's not bad.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
It can be some type of deep fake combination.
Yeah.
Of Jake Gyllenhaal and Evan Peters. Oh yeah, the twins.
Oh yeah, with Dylan and Cole.
Dylan and Cole Sprouse. That's perfect.
That was perfect.
That's perfect. But what was I gonna say?
I don't know. What were you gonna say, Dylan?
I was sitting on something about Kakihara for a second. I forgot about it. The reason I can't see Ryan Gosling as him is because it's kind of like when John Travolta had long hair in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
It just looks wrong. I'm not saying he would have to have long hair.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just can't imagine him in a role like that.
Well, it's also interesting you mentioned like the California thing. And Ryan Gosling.
We didn't mention that on the podcast.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, for context, outside of the podcast, Dylan was like, "Yeah, it should be like someone from California, like he should have
like a surfer-looking guy."
Yeah. And then Ryan Gosling, he's not from New York. He's from Canada, but he's definitely more New York, I think, than he is California. Tell me if
Jake
I'm wrong.
Gyllenhaal, you could see California.
Yeah, and Jake Gyllenhaal is more California. I think he actually is from California.
Yeah.
Or Ryan Gosling is from Canada.
Yeah.
And that already lines itself up more like the New York thing.
I can see that.
So that alone, it kind of, on the California thing, it's like, oh yeah, not Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because like you said, Ryan Gosling, his face literally looks like an old school like comic book like man face.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal looks like he's kind of still pretty, but he's like
he could do villain.
he can do Unhinged a lot better.
Haven't you seen Donnie Darko? He's fucking crazy.
He's literally the classic. He's your big brother's Evan Peters.
Yeah, really. Sitting dead ass. Yeah, he is. So there you go. Cool little... it's like poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah, so true. So true. It's like cellar door, it rhymes.
So yeah, that's fun.
What would you rate our casting out of 10?
10.
I fucking would rate it a 10 as well.
Yeah.
Not a 3 out of 3. You about done? Got anything else to say about Audition 2?
Audition 2? Yeah, Audition 2. My favorite fucking film.
You got anything else to say about Ichi the Killer?
I think that about does it for me.
That about does it for Evan?
That does it for me. There's a cool action figure. They were pretty rare.
I love
from when the
action
movie
figures.
came out that I want to get. There's one of Kakihara and one of Ichi. They're both very expensive, but I would like to buy them one day.
Those would bother me.
They look really cool.
If I owned them, they would bother me.
I'll show them to you later. They're pretty nice.
It's like owning
And the boxes are cool.
It's like owning a Leatherface figure. Like, I don't really want that in my house. I don't want to think about that much.
The figures I own versus the figures you own are very different.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it's good. I like that.
Yeah, we're
I
fun.
don't want it to be the same.
We're a fun couple of guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's
I mean,
what
you don't have any figures from anything like disturbing.
Do I? What are you talking about? I have Blade Runner 2049, bro. I'm joking. No, not really.
No, I mean, like, you have more like niche and like movie stuff. I have like action figures of like superheroes.
Oh no, I have the fucking dude with the axe in his head from Nightmare Before Christmas. That's very disturbing.
Sure. I don't know, just the idea that you have this guy that's like a rapist.
Yeah, that is kind of fucked up. But the figures look cool though. So
I'm sure they're cool. They're cool looking. If you had to have a tattoo from Ichi the Killer, what would you get?
Oh god, that's hard.
I would not get a tattoo from Ichi the Killer.
Me either.
But if I had a blade,
I've seen some pretty cool ones though. I have seen some cool ones.
Really?
Yeah.
I would not trust that fucking person.
More specifically, I've seen really cool ones from the manga, like panels from the manga. Yeah.
Okay.
They look cooler. I don't know if just from the movie that'd be weird.
The one. Get his classic yellow one.
Yeah. That'd be so stupid.
Oh, that's dope.
That's so dope, bro. That's so fucking dope.
I'd get the cum logo. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I don't know. Much love to Ichi the Killer.
Much love.
Much love to Ichi the Killer.
Much love.
Much love to Ichi the Killer.
Anything else you got to say about done? I'm about done.
No, I'm good. Good movie, good talk. We figured out some cool mysteries.
We did.
And that's what you get when you tune into RNS podcast.
It is.
And I'll you know what, I'll rewind it back.
Mm-hmm.
Once again.
Why don't you do that for us, Dylan?
Please, you know what, I will. Guess what, I will. So, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like. If you have any thoughts about this crazy fucking movie, leave a comment. If you want to see more episodes like this, please subscribe.
Of course.
And if you want to see our channel grow and see us be happy, see us maybe make a little coin, make a little money off this shit, share this to your most attractive friend.
Preferably the single ones.
Single ones and girl.
And your married sister.
And her phone number.
And her phone
Comment her phone number.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, as always. And we'll see you next week when we talk about Webster's Dictionary.
Actually, we're talking about Kangaroo Jack.
Kangaroo Jack. Part 2. No, the animated series. Didn't they do an animated series for Kangaroo Jack?
I think so.
We're going to talk about that.
I remember, actually they did, I think, because I remember my mom begging me not to watch it.
What a good mother. Like, seriously. Like, I'm serious. Like, she really is a real one. I love you, Chris. Chris, if you're listening, I love you.
I love you
at
too.
the same time, Chris, I really hope you don't listen to the Ichi the Killer episode. Please don't.
I can't even I'm okay, this is kind of nutty, but I'm not calling my mom dumb or anything. But I don't think this episode she would get it, like, at
like, what
all.
the fuck?
Because, like, it's like some Japanese weird movie.
No, that's just
like,
if my dad listened to it, he'd be like, what the fuck? Like, what does this mean?
And I spent half of it trying to, like, break down, like, superheroes tropes, like...
It's just not shit they're into.
Please don't listen to this, Mom.
Listen to our. What would be? Well, if you had to pick one episode for your mother to listen to,
Maybe Back to the Future.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'd have to listen to them back.
Yeah, it's a good one though.
But I don't.
Or like when the Shrek ones.
I don't think I said something too evil in Back to the Future. And I'm just
School
like
of Rock, maybe.
Well, actually, I don't think
like that.
Back to the Future is probably not even that entertaining to listen to.
I thought it was a good one. I feel like we brought some point of views on Back to the Future that.
We did talk about like Crispin
really
Glover.
Yeah.
And like that whole thing.
Which is not something I hear many people talk about.
No.
The dynamic between them.
Well, maybe that was a good episode.
Yeah.
Maybe that was. You know what? They're all good fucking episodes.
You're right.
We always uncover a little something that you missed. We're like the nostalgia critic in that way.
I agree.
We remember it so you don't have to.
Precisely. All right, for real though. Thank you for listening, as always, and we love you. Goodbye.
I love you too.